What's going on, y'all? What's going on? What's going on? Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat on the way in. What's up, everybody? What's up? What's up? Fair use, fair use, fair use, fair use. So there's a couple of things that we're going to be covering today. We're going to be covering our favorite Chrissy. We're also going to be covering a Miss Teresa off of the channel Jezebel Spirit. Yes, you heard right. Shout out to all my Bible thumpers and my Christian-y folks. Yes, she meant it the way she said it. Jezebel spirit. Yes, the term Jezebel spirit is a Christian concept derived from the Bible figure Queen Jezebel, who is described as a control-driven, manipulative, and sexually immoral individual. The spirit is believed to be a demonic influence, causing people, both men and women, to exhibit traits like control, intimidation, false teaching, and desire for worldly leadership and fame. While the Bible does not explicitly call her a spirit, the reappearance of her characteristics in Revelations 2:20 led to interpretation of a quote-unquote Jezebel spirit that can operate within the church, causing corruption and seduction. Yeah. So as Revelon says here, the name tells you everything you need to know. Right? So we appreciate what she's doing by purposely naming her channel Jezebel Spirit. We get it, lady. We get it. Right? And this is the young lady in question, Miss Teresa. Right? We're going to be covering a bit of her. So, well, one piece on her channel. You're going to hear the Smug. Unfortunately, I didn't. I'm not going to be able to play the actual video. We're going to play the audio, but. And Mr. Z messed up because I should have actually taken shots of her her face while she was speaking, so y'all could see the smug when she's speaking. And it's the similar smug attitude and look as a Kim Foster when they're speaking about the challenges of boys and men. It's more of that gender warring talk from someone that's quote unquote educated. The punching down, the smug comments, the sassy comments, the looking down, the not really appreciating that this is a dance. And if men hurt, women hurt. And if black men hurt in particular, black women hurt, right? Not really appreciating, once again, like black men and black women in particular are tied by the hip. So more of that, no, the problem is the men, and they don't want to move this way. But obviously, because she's a bit more educated, well-spoken, she doesn't come off as maybe as bombastic as Z. Very antagonistic, obviously, but when you speak well, you can hide in the gray, right? When you speak well and when you're educated, particularly if you're a woman and you know how to enunciate your words correctly, you can be insulting, right? You can be insulting the opposite sex, but everyone's going to act like they don't know what the hell. No, what? No, she's just stating facts, even if there's no facts. Huh? So as we play this, you're gonna hear her jab, you're gonna hear her insult, you're gonna hear and you're gonna hear it, but it's really the facial expressions while she's saying it that really tell you everything you need to know. But we have to make space for a lot of things, so I didn't play every. Sorry, I wasn't able to download it the way I needed to because I needed to make space. Um, be mindful, everyone. You're gonna see these kind of die hard, doesn't matter what's going on in the environment, weirdo feminists, particularly those of them that are doing okay financially, The vast majority of women, namely black women, they can't financially afford this. Whether they will engage or not is a different conversation, but they literally cannot financially afford this. But the ones of them that are okay financially, they're going to still be antagonistic. They're going to be assholes. They're going to be mean. They're going to sass men and be smug. And your everyday woman, black women in particular, they're going to be the ones to feel it, right? As Mr. Z has said often, the outliers are doing too much talking. So you're going to have outliers like Miss Teresa being smug, insulting, right? Sassing. And it's your average black woman that's going to feel that. And it's not going to be black men necessarily antagonizing everyday black women. It's going to be black men, everyday black men, getting the hell away from black women. More and more. If you doubt me, check those interracial marriage rates for black men. Check that interracial dating for black men, particularly younger black men, particularly black men under the age of 40, under the age of 30. Ooh. Huh? Yikes. So, we spoke on the Jezebel spirit. Once again, we're going to read the first few sentences. It says, the term Jezebel spirit is a Christian concept derived from the biblical figure Queen Jezebel, who is described as a control-driven, manipulative, and sexually immoral individual. Ah, so shout out to Miss Teresa. She walked in the door letting you know who she is. Huh? She walked in the door letting you know, yeah, you could insult me with this. That is what I am. Okay, ma'am, we hear you. We hear you. Huh? We heard you. We heard you the first time. So let's get underway because this might be a long stream. We'll see. Like, share, subscribe, click the super chat. And so shout out to Vince. Yeah, we know, we know. Right? We ain't gonna go in on the lady aesthetics. We just gonna try to battle her ideas and her concepts, and that's low hanging fruit. We just gonna keep on going. All right, yo, here we go.
Welcome to Jezebel Spirit Podcast, where women are unbroken, unbothered, and unrestrained. I'm your host, Teresa. While you're here, don't forget to subscribe. In the conversation that we are having about boys falling behind in school, I watched this woman's video.
So this right here is the most interesting question that someone has asked in the whole conversation / debate about what's happening to young men in the school system. Because at this point, we're talking about it nonstop, right? Like, we're talking about how the men are not all right, which is a conversation for another time. But we're also talking about how little boys are falling behind. And one of the main solutions that people have suggested for this problem, in addition to holding all boys back for just 1 year around the kindergarten age, the other solution that people have suggested is more male kindergarten teachers. What we talk about much less frequently is why there aren't male kindergarten teachers, okay? Why aren't there that many male kindergarten teachers?
Now, this creator's point, as she moves on, is that the reason why the boys...
Let's actually address some of that because we've heard that from some of the educators in this space, black male educators in this space. They don't want to be in those environments, right? They don't want to be in the environments that are so soul crushingly feminine. They do care about the boys, but oftentimes the female administrators, the female teachers make that environment so goddamn toxic, even for the adult, mainly heterosexual men, that it is soul crushing. Before we speak about the pay, before we speak about the disrespect, before we speak about the men knowing, hey, that way of teaching ain't gonna work on them boys. On the boys, oh, that ain't gonna work. Oh, that actually, what you just said to that boy, that was a bit sexist, actually. Actually. Before we speak about that, but of course, I mean, When you think of yourself and you think of your same sex, the XX chromosome side of the game, when you think you're infallible, particularly in relationship to men, especially a black woman speaking about black men, oh, you better believe they're infallible. Huh? There's nothing to see here. I wonder, why aren't the men in this space? Well, okay, yeah, that's it. It's not a real question. Continuing.
Why the boys are falling behind is the same reason why there are no male kindergarten teachers. That teaching is one of the care type professions, and care labor is notoriously devalued, and we consider care labor as something that women do. Anything that men associate with girls, women, or femininity, they're going to be disinterested in. And the only thing that it takes for men and boys to start seeing things as girl coded is the presence of too many women. I stitched this video, and in my stitch, here's what I said. The lack of male teachers was never the problem. In the 1950s, 75% of teachers were women. As of 2022, 78% of teachers are women. So pretty much the percentage of female teachers and male teachers has been constant for the last 50, 60, 70 years. Boys managed not to fall behind in the 50s and 60s, and still 3/4 of the teachers were women, and 3/4 of the teachers are women now. So what changed? I also think
I want to pause right there. Huh. So the idea that because too many women enter environment, men think it's female, and now it's female coded. The problem is, oh, I get it. You're going to say it later. Oh, so now it's devalued, ma'am. It's not that men and boys devalue education. It's that men and boys are being forced, especially over the past few decades, to learn and to move as we would consider women have been taught to move and think and emote. Even if, granted, 70 some odd percent, 75, 3/4 of teachers were women, 70 in the past, 75, 3/4 of teachers are women now. Yes, ma'am. Correct. With that, when you have a certain worldview coming out of second wave feminism, that we won't simply teach the boys as if they're boys, we're going to teach the boys as if they're defective girls. And on another video, you said, well, if that was the truth, then the boys would be kinder and they would be more resilient. And we got something for that word resilient in a minute. Huh? We have something for that word resilient in a minute. Ma'am, the difference between yesteryear and today is that we're raising and teaching the boys as if they're defective girls. Even you, somewhat, kind of, sort of, conceded at that point. When you said, well, if we were raising them to be defective girls, then they would be nicer and kinder and more resilient and more thoughtful. And women like this love getting their 5 chuckles in. Oh, do they love getting their 5 chuckles in at the expense of boys and men. But unfortunately, because men and women are tied by the hip, and black women and black men are tied by the hip, unfortunately, that comes at a cost. Uh-oh. Black and Latina women who never marry are the least wealthy in the U.S. What was that about resilience again? Huh? Z, you came prepared today. That I did. Resilient. Of a person or animal able to withstand or recover quickly from difficult situations. Black and Latina women who never marry are the least wealthy in the U.S. Huh. Resilient, Miss Teresa, you say? Huh? Maybe those antidepressant pills. Oh, well, you look at that. Maybe those antidepressant pills or what's helping women, namely black women in our case, with resilience. Let's see. Okay. Blue is for non-Hispanic black. And when we look at the men, 5% on antidepressants in the past 30 days. And for black women, oh, well, you look at that, double the rate at 10%. Oh, yeah, and black women are being under prescribed antidepressants. As a matter of fact, their number is really 13% now, give or take. And that's under prescription. That's being under prescribed. I'm sorry, being under prescribed. So if black women were being prescribed antidepressants at the same rate as their white female counterparts, it would be close to a quarter, if not a quarter. Uh-oh. Resilient, right? Able to withstand or recover quickly from difficult situations. I don't know, Miss Teresa. I don't know. You might want to check that sexism at the door, that misandry at the door, that Jezebel spirit at the door, ma'am. You might want to check that at the door. All that sassiness and snarkiness, that smug sound nice. Once again, Labor Day stream. It's Labor Day, everyone. And we're reviewing a woman talking crap about men, working class, everyday, middle class, working poor men. And she's black, so you know she's jabbing at black men. Huh? About those antidepressants.
Now we have a GMA health alert, a headline we first saw in the Wall Street Journal asking why more women in middle age are turning to antidepressants than ever before. Our ABC News chief medical correspondent Dr. Ashton's here going to break it down. So this is startling. According to the CDC, approximately 1 in 5 women between the ages of 40 to 59 and 1 in just 4 women over 50 are turning to antidepressants. That's compared with 1 in 10 women between 18 and 39 using this kind of medicine. Why is this happening?
Well, the short answer is we don't know, Robin, but the first step is making this observation. The second step is talking about it, which is why I'm so glad we're having this conversation. But yes, there definitely seems to be some differences in the rates of depression in women versus men and as women age, whether that's...
Oh, Miss Teresa, it's a dance, ma'am. Fine, we'll go with your framing. The women are outpacing the men. The women are more resilient. The women are stronger. The women are smarter. The women are better. Yeah, we'll go with your framing. We'll go with Kim Foster's framing. Okay, fine. And it costs the women. Ooh, goddamn. Huh? Those antidepressant pills. Huh? Oh, and it costs black women, especially. A disproportionate number of black women are kinless, say it again, Z, Dr. Umar Johnson style, kinless as they age. Advocates say they deserve a social safety net too. See, Miss Teresa, all that gender warring sound nice. Stop punching down on men, insulting men, huh? Being smug and sassy and snarky and getting your 5 chuckles in at the expense of boys and men, particularly black boys and men. Oh, it sound nice, but black women got to feel that on the other end. And there's a pun in there somewhere. Okay, fine. We live in an anti-black society. Black women in particular are outpacing black men by leaps and bounds. And all that sound nice. Yes, Miss Teresa. And what are black women supposed to do when they're 28 years old? Uh-oh, 32 years old. Yikes, 35 years old. Oh, 40 years old. 45, antidepressant pill time. Huh? So yeah, you get your little 5 chuckles in, huh? The women are more resilient. The girls are taught to be more resilient. The girls are, because the girls got to deal with all the men's crap, and so they're taught to be more resilient, and they're taught to do this and be nice and be considerate and that. And all that sound nice. First, factually inaccurate. But even if we agree, for argument's sake, yeah, it costs the women. Most women can't even, they can't afford it. Most black women in particular, Miss Teresa, they cannot afford your gender warring crap. Huh? The average man spends $5,000 to $12,000 more, say it again, Z, more, Dr. Umar Johnson style, more per year when in relationship. Huh? Miss Teresa, what you're engaging in sound nice. I see the little smug look on your face. That little sassy look. Oh, she's so giddy. But in panties, wet as hell, just talking about these loser bum men. Ain't that right, Miss Teresa? Oh, and it costs women dearly. It devastates black women. Huh? It devastates women. It particularly devastates black women. Once again, this is why Mr. Z says the outliers are doing too much talking. The Teresas of the world are getting the 5 chuckles in at the expense of boys and men, particular because she's black and we're black. Black boys and black men, and it costs black women everything. It costs black women stability. It costs black women, the vast majority of them, any chance at the middle class. Don't even look at the upper middle class and rich. Don't make me laugh. See, you ain't saying wealthy. What's that? And again,
Now we have a GMA health alert, a headline we first saw in the Wall Street Journal asking why more women in middle age are turning to antidepressants than ever before. Our ABC News chief medical correspondent Dr. Ashton's here going to break it down. So this is startling. According to the CDC, approximately 1 in 5 women between the ages of 40 to 59 and 1 in just 4 women over 50 are turning to antidepressants. That's compared with 1 in 10 women between 18 and 39 using this kind of medicine. Why is this happening?
Well, the short answer is we don't know, Robin, but the first step is making this observation. The second step is talking about it, which is why I'm so glad we're having this conversation. But yes, there definitely seems to be some differences in the rates of depression in women versus men.
Some differences.
As women, a hormonal contribution, as women get to menopause, or just more lived life experiences, life stressors, world events, things that we've all been through. We don't know, but those numbers absolutely jaw-dropping when you see how common this is.
What was it? One out of 5 for 50 and older? That's 20%. Huh? That's 50%, Miss Teresa. So why you getting your 5 chocos in and telling us how resilient the women are? Why you getting your 5 chocos in? We see what that quote-unquote resilience costs them. Resilient of a person or animal able to withstand or recover quickly from difficult conditions. Anyway, continuing.
I also think we're asking the wrong question. The problem is not that boys are falling behind. Boys falling behind is a symptom of a greater problem. The social skills it takes to succeed in school are things that we are socialized to do, like sit still, be quiet, follow instructions. We're not wasting energy taking care of you anymore. That's what changed.
And here comes the real gender warring. We're not, her words, listen closely. We're not wasting energy taking care of you anymore. Oh, Dr. Richard Reed, Dr. Scott Galloway, where are y'all at? Rod Shetty, where you at? Huh? Anne Marie Slaughter, Liz Mundy, where y'all at? We're not wasting energy taking care of you anymore. First, once again, who's taking care of who, ma'am? Black and Latina women who never marry are the least wealthy in the U.S. The average man spends $5,000 to $12,000 more per year when in relationship. Huh? Who's taking care of who, madam? Miss Teresa, who's taking care of who? Uh-oh. Okay, fine, let's go with it. And you not taking care of the boys, ma'am. You want to say you, so we're going to say you. You, women, namely black women, no longer, your words, wasting time taking care of you, the men, the boys, costs you, ma'am, the girls, the women. Your words, ma'am. We're no longer wasting time, your words, taking care of you anymore. First, you're literally factually inaccurate. The men earn more than the women. The black men earn more than the black women. Oops. Huh? And it's going to cost you, ma'am. See, what happened was a window open for women progress, a very specific type of progress in the West in particular, in America, coming out of second wave feminism, a very particular type of progress. And the society and the system decided to put its finger, its thumb on the scales for the women and the girls. And the women and the girls who started to excel, the women and the girls that took advantage of that and started to do well and are currently doing well, got it in their mind that all of that was hard work. All of it. None of it was systemic. None of it was government. None of it was corporate. All of it was her drive, motivation, wherewithal. All of it was women's collective drive, motivation, wherewithal. And JD Vance is a heartbeat away from being president. Uh-oh. What happens as we watch the U.S. government say, guess what? You being at home, barefoot and pregnant, is more important than that $55,000, $60,000 job you were going to have and that Tesla Model 3 you were going to buy. Huh? And those Jimmy Choos you were going to buy. Say there's something more important than that. What happens then, Miss Teresa? Miss Teresa, women like you, black women like you, took the current direction for granted. Y'all took it for granted. And because women like you took it for granted, y'all were exceedingly antagonistic, mean, rude, condescending to black men in particular, and black boys for good measure. And we're here now. And women like you are still, even though your sistren are starving and you're watching them sink underneath the waves. A slight gust of wind called Donald Trump, Elon Musk, JD Vance, Stephen Miller, Vivek Ramaswamy, Peter Thiel, Alex Karp, Curtis Yarvin, a slight gust of wind came through and knocked like 80% of your 75% of your sister overboard, and you're watching them sink underneath the waves, and you still talking like this because you took the environment for granted. And you want to talk about resilience, you're not even resilient enough to pivot. Talking about taking this
President
direction
Vladimir
for
Putin
granted.
has described Russia's military objectives in Ukraine as, quote, noble.
And we are aware that today our officers are participating in the special operation in Donbass in Ukraine.
There are many ways of thinking about history, and today I want to talk about Putin's sense of Russian history in comparison to an assumption about history that we often adopt in the West. I think, ironically, it's our sense of history that's often misguided. And while Putin draws the wrong conclusions, his diagnosis of history, the model of history he's a product of, contains some surprising truths. Russia's difficult relationship with Europe and its strained and unique relationship with its own identity has a long history that goes back long before Putin, of course. But it's one I think he kind of believes in, and he's strengthening some of its elements. It has a rich tradition, as we'll see, in philosophy, poetry, literature, in anti-rationalism, in romanticism. But I think if we approach it carefully, it can teach us a lot about what our model of history often leaves out. We often adopt a model of history in Europe and America that historian Timothy Snyder calls the politics of inevitability.
The politics of inevitability.
Forms, Hegel and Marx's dialectics, the idea of an ever-progressing linear historical path, what used to be called Whiggish history. Francis Fukuyama's The End of History, the argument that after the fall of the Soviet Union, the liberal model was the endpoint of historical progress. Is that progress is inevitable, automatic, out of our...
Do you hear that, Miss Teresa?
Snyder says that it's a sense that the future is just more of the present, that the laws of progress are known, that there are no alternatives, and therefore nothing really to be done. If history is something that happens automatically, the politics of inevitability doesn't need anyone to do anything. It doesn't need ideas, it doesn't need action, it doesn't need fighting for or defending. History, like an escalator to freedom or a journey floating along a river, just is.
Miss Teresa, the history of inevitability, y'all took it for granted, and you and other women like you, ma'am, spoke and acted like you took this for granted. It was inevitable. The end of history, ma'am. Francis Fukuyama. Girls rule, boys drool. Huh? We're on top now. Sit down and shut up type talk. As you're speaking to us right now. You're framing right now, madam. Uh-oh. Women like you took this for granted, ma'am. And you're still speaking that way. You can't help it. Huh? Continue.
Was the support and the unpaid labor of the women in their lives that was allowing men to succeed to the degree that they were. And they don't have that anymore. Okay, so the New York Times had...
Z, you ain't gonna let this go? I'm gonna let it go through. It was the support of the women in their lives. And the men don't have it anymore. Madam, are you sure you want to talk about that with black men as a black woman? The average man spends $5,000 to $12,000 more per year when in relationship. Ma'am, an increasing amount of black men are dating and marrying outside of the black race. And it's costing black women. Black and Latina women who never marry are the least wealthy in the U.S. 23% of black women, 23% of young black women now identify as bisexual. Ma'am, this literally costs black women. Your type of antagonism, ma'am, Your type of incendiary, language cost black women like literal money and funds. We're not even going to speak about the intangibles. Your antagonism, your rhetoric literally costs black women stability. But continue. God damn it, y'all. Now we gotta start all over. Jesus Christ, at least y'all can listen to this without it being interrupted. My apologies, everyone. Continuing.
Jezebel Spirit Podcast, where women are unbroken, unbothered, and unrestrained. I'm your host, Teresa. While you're here, don't forget to subscribe. In the conversation that we are having about boys falling behind in school, I watched this woman's video.
So this right here is the most interesting question that someone has asked in the whole conversation / debate about what's happening to young men in the school system. Because at this point, we're talking about it nonstop, right? Like, we're talking about how the men are not all right, which is a conversation for another time. But we're also talking about how little boys are falling behind. And one of the main solutions that people have suggested for this problem, in addition to holding all boys back for just 1 year around the kindergarten age, the other solution that people have suggested is more male kindergarten teachers. What we talk about much less frequently is why there aren't male kindergarten teachers, okay? Why aren't there that many male kindergarten teachers?
Now, this creator's point, as she moves on, is that the reason why the boys are falling behind is the same reason why there are no male kindergarten teachers. That teaching is one of the care type professions, and care labor is notoriously devalued, and we consider care labor as something that women do. Anything that men associate with girls, women, or femininity, they're going to be disinterested in. And the only thing that it takes for men and boys to start seeing things as girl-coded is the presence of too many women. I stitched this video, and in my stitch, here's what I said. The lack of male teachers was never the problem. In the 1950s, 75% of teachers were women. As of 2022, 78% of teachers are women. So pretty much the percentage of female teachers and male teachers has been constant for the last 50, 60, 70 years. Boys managed not to fall behind in the 50s and 60s, and still 3/4 of the teachers were women, and 3/4 of the teachers are women now. So what changed? I also think we're asking the wrong question. The problem is not that boys are falling behind. Boys falling behind is a symptom of a greater problem. The social skills it takes to succeed in school are things that we are socialized to do, like sit still, be quiet, follow instructions. We're not wasting energy taking care of you anymore. That's what changed. It was the support and the unpaid labor of the women in their lives that was allowing men to succeed to the degree that they were. And they don't have that anymore. Okay, so the New York Times had a piece in their magazine called Upshot. And a couple months ago, NPR did a thing called Falling Behind Miseducation of Boys. And it was a docuseries. It had several parts to it. And the first part was entitled, Do We Treat Boys as Though They're Malfunctioning Girls? And that is one of the arguments that Richard Reeves, who I talk about in my Red Pill series, his usual argument is, how do we rewrite the script for what it means to be a man? The men and boys have no guidance, because all of the guidance on how to be a good man is just be a woman. NPR piece interviews has a bunch of parents, and they're asking their kids questions. One of the mothers says this: I feel like public schools are set up like a factory. Like a bell rings, you sit down, you do your work. A bell rings, you stand up, you go someplace else. And that's how kids are built. My son is bored. Here's the thing, though. School has always been like that. School has not changed. You know why school's always been like that? School's always been like that because the public school system was designed to churn out workers. Because in the Industrial Revolution, in our
shout out to Labor Day,
when we had, machines and the telephone and all these things, you needed all of the labor to produce a thing in the factory, but you also needed people to provide administrative support. Like you needed, phone operators, you needed secretaries, you needed managers, you needed like vice presidents, like all these sort of office positions that we think of now as normal. Those things were all created from like the 1930s through like the 1960s, when the American corporate office became what it is as we know it. So the public school system was never really designed to educate you. It was designed to give you enough skills to make you a productive worker in a capitalist system. That's all. So here's the rest of my argument. The problem is the labor. The labor has gone away. We don't socialize men to take care of themselves. We socialize women to
we socialize men to take care of women. We used to socialize women to take care of men. Say it again, Z. We socialize men to take care of women. We used to socialize women to take care of men. You know the dance, ma'am. The average man spends $5,000 to $12,000 more per year when in a relationship. Black and Latina women who never marry are the least wealthy in the U.S. A disproportionate number of black women are kinless as they age. Advocates say they deserve a social safety net too. Say it again, Z. We used to socialize women to take care of men. Nice rewriting of history, madam. It's going to cost you. It's going to cost black women. See, ma'am, Miss Teresa, we don't really know you. You might be married. You might be in a relationship. You might not be. You might earn enough to survive and to sustain yourself and to maybe even live a nice, luxurious life. Most black women don't. Ooh, goddamn. The outliers are doing too much talking. Most black women don't earn enough, ma'am, and you are condemning them not to just a lifetime of singleness and loneliness and horniness. And now, Rose Toy, oh boy, not only are you condemning them into a lifetime of that, you're condemning them into a lifetime of poverty, a lack of stability. We're not even going to mention the middle class. It's not going to happen. Huh? Your gender war, your smug ass attitude, your 5 chuckles, your snarky comments is literally costing black women everything. But you can continue with your gender war and your Jezebel spirit. And for those of you that just got in, yes, we did speak about, yes, that channel says the Jezebel Spirit podcast. The term Jezebel Spirit is a Christian concept derived from the biblical figure Queen Jezebel, who is described as a control-driven, Dr. Umar Johnson style, control-driven, manipulative, and sexually immoral individual. Huh? Shout out to you, Miss Teresa. You know how to name your channel. Huh? You know how to name your channel, madam. Yikes. And Passport G says, y'all hit Z's like button. Sirs, like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Huh? Shout out to you, madam. No, men were supposed to take care of women, and women were supposed to take care of men. Women decided to give men the middle finger and try to do their individuality thing, and we're watching the masses of women fall on their face, particularly the black women. But we can watch you try to save face for them, madam. Huh? But that's becoming increasingly difficult, you know, because of Doge and Donald Trump and Elon and Stephen Miller and JD Vance and Curtis Yarvin and Peter Thiel and Vivek Ramaswamy and Sagar Enjeti. Uh-oh. Whoopsie. Huh?
To the economy now, where staggering numbers have been released surrounding black women in the labor force. A new report shows more than 300,000 black women have left the workforce in just the last several months. That's according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. Joining me now is gender economist Katika Roy to break this all down and why they're leaving. Katika, thank you so much for being with us. You recently wrote an article where you say that this isn't happening by accident. Why do you think it is happening?
This is happening because of cuts to public sector positions. So if you look at the federal labor force, black women make up just over 12% of the federal labor force. It's about double their representation in the labor force overall. And when you have targeted cuts up to 50% in organizations such as the Department of Education and HHS, you're not just trimming the fat, you're actually cutting the economic backbone for black women.
Wow. And so what are some of the spillover effects from all of this?
Well, one of the things that we know is that there is a connection between women's labor force participation and GDP. So just black women's labor force participation has dropped by just over 2% in the last 3 months. And that has sucked over $37 billion out of US GDP. So this is the economic cost of policy, gender policy ignorance.
This is really fascinating because do you think that most people are unaware of the actual impacts of things like this?
Absolutely. So when we often think about women's issues or Black women's issues, we think of it as an over there problem. It's not. It's an everybody problem. When our economy grows, that has more jobs and more income for everyone. So we know, for instance, overall, that for every 1 percentage point that women leave the labor force, there's a $146 billion hit to GDP.
Oh my gosh. And so we've talked about the consequences, but is there an upside to all of this? Are we seeing women pivoting to entrepreneurship as they're leaving the workforce? What then are they doing?
You know, that's a great question. And the truth is, we don't know where all of the 300,000 Black women that have actually been pushed out of the labor force have gone. We know that some of them have gone into entrepreneurship, which is not only because of luxury, but it's actually because of survival. And this is really a testament to their resilience, but it also shows the rigidity in our traditional employment systems.
Are there any other groups that we are seeing largely impacted in this way in the labor workforce?
Not to this extent. So I track all of the data, as you can imagine, month over month by gender and race and ethnicity. And I started to see this trend about 3 months ago with this really precipitous drop in Black women out of the labor force. And this is a huge hit. And historically, just to give you a sense of the historical context, this is the first time in years that Black women's labor force participation has fallen below Latina's labor force participation.
Wow. It's really fascinating to see these numbers, to hear you explain all of it and break down the real world impacts on our GDP and the economy at large. Katika Roy, thank you for what you do and thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
The lady mentioned resilience again. Resilience of a person able to withstand or recover quickly from difficult situations. Ma'am, if you're admitting and you're saying that they're being pushed out, and some of them are starting a business or becoming entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs, just starting entrepreneurs, don't make any real money. Resilience, I don't know. Huh? Are we sure about that, ma'am? Resilience. Huh? Madam, it's not entrepreneurship. It's not resilience. Black women don't have nowhere else to go.
Don't you do it! Don't you! I got nowhere else to go! I got nowhere else to go!
Yeah, we know. Huh? But we're going to keep on framing this like, no, the empowerment and they're doing good and the smile on their face and look how resilient they are. Yeah, okay. Sounds good. Sounds like propaganda, really. Huh? But shout out to you, Miss Teresa. The Jezebel spirit. Yep, you're right. Continuing.
Take care of men. And this starts when we're little girls. Every woman reports that when they were young, from as long as they can remember, they were socialized to care about the needs of every single person around them and put their need last. Whereas boys are socialized the exact opposite. And the question I was fundamentally asking in this stitch is like, okay.
Boys are so girls are socialized to put their needs last, put everyone's needs in front of theirs needs last. And boys are socialized different. Well, last time I checked, unless somebody could tell me different, boys grow up to become men. Unless, of course, they do the whole science thing and start chopping and cutting things, and then, then they TRANSs, but that's like a fraction of a percent. So boys grow up to be men. And we were speaking about the boys, unlike the girls, the boys aren't raised to put others first, right? Unlike the boys, as Miss Teresa says. Then why? Oh, look, Z, look what's on your screen. The average man spends $5,000 to $12,000 more. Say again, more per year when in relationship. I wonder who he's spending that money on. I mean, if he put himself first, unlike the girls who become women, if he put himself first, Maybe that's why he's spending $5,000 to $12,000 more. He's putting himself first when in relationship, right? Ain't that right, Mr. Teresa? The math checks out, don't it? Huh? The math check out here too. Black and Latina women who never marry, and by the way, Mr. Teresa, is childless. Black and Latina women who never marry that have the least amount of wealth in the U.S. I wonder, what's the one thing that's missing? Well, if you have a child, I mean that at least for a good 5 seconds there was some man involved. At least he was involved enough to ejaculate. There was some man involved somewhere, right? So if you're childless and manless, and that's the black woman that has the least amount of wealth in America, would that indicate that boys and men, unlike the girls and women, put themselves first? They don't put themselves last, unlike the girls and women. That's why when those boys become men, the black women who don't marry them are the least wealthy in the U.S. Wait a minute, the math, is it Z? The math don't look like it's mathing right. You know, Z ain't that great at math, so maybe it's Z. No, it's probably Z. It's probably Z, right? It's Z. That's why the math don't math. Because you would think the group of people that continue to put themselves last, when they're not with a man, black man, and they have no children, they would have the most wealth. Uh-oh. What this article say again? Black and Latina women who never marry are the least wealthy in the U.S. Wait a minute, that don't make any sense, because this would be them protecting their peace and being quote unquote resilient and not being in a relationship with a soul sucking, money draining, hegemonic, patriarchal or aspiring patriarch man, probably black man. So wouldn't that indicate that they would have the most wealth in America, or at least the most wealth in the black community? Oh, wait a minute, that's factually inaccurate also. Huh. I don't know, Miss Teresa. Miss Teresa, you said, unlike the girls, right? The girls are socialized to put themselves last. Unlike the boys. I don't know, that math. Huh? That math, Miss Teresa, I don't know that math. Continuing.
The question I was fundamentally asking in this stitch is like, okay, here's the argument. Boys are falling behind. But people talking about boys falling behind only started 20, 30 years ago. But school hasn't changed in the last 50 to 70 years. The setup has basically been the same. Because, as I said, what school is designed to do. It's designed to create laborers. So if the percentage of female teachers has remained fairly constant, it was 78% in the 50s and it's 75% now, but the boys weren't falling behind then, what's the problem? What has changed? And the only thing I can think of that has changed is that we stopped centering the boys. We stopped coddling the boys, because there's no other explanation that I can think of.
We stopped centering the boys. We stopped coddling the boys. Oh, they love that word coddle when it comes to boys and men. Because if you're not stepping on boys and men's neck in the middle of the streets, particularly the black ones, if you're not stepping on their neck, if you're not crushing their windpipe in the middle of the streets, then you're coddling them. If you're not barking at them, you're coddling them. If you're not insulting them and belittling them, you're coddling them. Oh, they love that word coddle. Anything that's not being mean, rude, sassy, snarky, and smug to boys and men, you're coddling them. Anything that's not being antagonistic to the boys and men, you're coddling them. We hear you, Miss Teresa. We hear you. Huh? Unfortunately for you, Miss Teresa, Uzi, you about to say it. Let's agree with your framing. Not coddling them boys and men is costing the women, particularly the Black and Latina women. Black and Latina women who never marry are the least wealthy in the U.S. Maybe you should have been coddling the boys and men. Uh-oh. A disproportionate number of Black women are kinless as they age, and it's about to get worse for you goddamn younger Xers and millennials and oldest of Gen Z. Have fun. A disproportionate number of Black women are kinless as they age. Uh-oh. Advocates say they deserve a social safety net too. Huh? You are fully correct, Miss Teresa, to name your channel the Jezebel Spirit Podcast. The term Jezebel Spirit is a Christian concept derived from the biblical figure Queen Jezebel, who is described as a control-driven, manipulative, and sexually immoral individual. You are perfectly within your rights to name your channel the Jezebel Spirit, because you are being manipulative with your framing, ma'am. And you know who that's going to cost the most while you snicker and sass? Black girls and women. I would like to direct you to the title of this live. Your smug won't save Black women. So, Miss Teresa, you're going to be okay. The likes of a Kim Foster will be okay. Shout out to Chrissy. We're going to review her in a minute. The likes of a Chrissy will be okay. The rest of Black women, the masses of them, uh-oh. And as more and more Black boys and Black men appreciate that Black girls and Black women are moving, thinking, feeling just like you, Miss Teresa, they're going to marry out, and that is going to cost Black women. Shout out to Media Man.
Pew Research 2023 ACS report shows that 36% of Black men are married, 29% of Black women are married, compared to 59% of non-Black adults. But Black women are more likely to be divorced, separated, or widowed, 25% versus 15% of Black men, and less likely to remarry. Nearly half of all Black adults have never married at all. However, the patterns of who marries whom are shifting. In 2014, about 15% of married Black men had non-Black wives. By 2022, that number rose to 21%, more than 1 in 5. Black women, however, remain overwhelmingly endogamous. 87% marry Black men and only 13% marry out. The reality is stark. Other races of men marry Black women at the lowest rates of all. Only 0.5% of white men in America are married to Black women. So when some Black women say, we'll just marry out, the truth is this: marriage requires two people saying yes, and outside of the Black community, those men are not saying yes in large numbers. So the effect is clear. Black men's marriage rates are being sustained, even lifted by interracial marriage. Black women's rates are not. And I say all that knowing that the common narrative and myth in the Black community is that Black men don't want marriage, but the data says otherwise. A 2020 study found that nearly 50% of older Black women reported not wanting to have a partner at all, compared to just 22% of Black men. In 2024, Pew Research found that more men are more likely than women to say they want marriage and children in the future. So not only are Black men married,
and that's going to cost women,
they're also the ones expressing greater desire for marriage. And contrary to the stereotypes, Black men are positioned well for marriage readiness. So to put things in simpler terms, across 12 categories tied to family stability, Black men lead in 9, including income, low debt, health, and marriage rates. So yes, Black men are being chosen by Black women and increasingly by women of other races for those particular reasons mentioned. But here's where we must also confront an outdated and damaging idea. Back in 1987, sociologist William Julius Wilson argued that high unemployment, incarceration, and poverty made Black men less marriageable. That phrase has been echoed for decades and often used to explain the declining marriage rates among Black women. Yet today, the data no longer supports it. Black men earn more than Black women, they make up a greater share of high earners, they own more businesses, and they are marrying across racial lines at higher rates. In fact, the education gap between Black men and women is just 7.3%. So when every other group of men can lag behind their women in degrees and still marry, why is the same pattern used to call Black men less marriageable? That talking point is not only outdated, it's biased. Black men's marriage rates remain steady, or they are actually rising from 36% to 38 to 40% in most cases. And those increases are fueled by interracial marriage opportunities. Black women's marriage rates are projected to fall from 29% to either 28 or 26%, given divorce rates, fewer remarriages, and limited demand outside of the race. So in other words, the gap will widen. And if current trends hold, more Black men will build families with non-Black women, while more Black women remain single. Wealth will not only decline, it will fragment. The traditional Black family structure will weaken. And this is not about loyalty. It is about economics, demographics, and demand. But before I go, let me address the lies directly. When people say Black men marry outside of their race because we hate our mothers or dislike Black women, that is nothing but shaming language. The truth is simpler. Black men still want marriage, but when nearly half of older Black women report not wanting a partner, the choice is narrow. So for Black men who want families, marrying outside the race often becomes the only option. And other races of women are willing to say yes when too many of our own are saying no. So that is not hate, that is reality. And also, here's what must be said plainly. While Black men are competing with every other race of men in business, education, and marriage markets, all races of men are fighting the same battles to earn, to lead, to build. We should not have to compete against our own women just to prove that we are not the enemy. Too often myths are recycled, that Black men are deadbeat fathers, that more of us are in prison than in college, that Black women are the only ones building wealth. Every one of those lies has been debunked for decades, yet they continue to resurface even from platforms that claim to promote Black marriage. And while some Black women cling to those myths, other women, white, Latina, Asian, are stepping forward to marry the very Black men who are disqualified at home. The damage is not that Black men are running away, but that too many of our own sisters are pushing us away and then blaming us for the results. Black men and Black women, things cannot move forward if half of us believe lies about the other half. Black men are not your enemy. Black men are not running from marriage. We are running towards it, often with whoever will run with us.
Much of the reason why Black men are marrying out is because the Black community in particular is overproducing women like Miss Teresa. The Black community is overproducing Black women who want their autonomy and to be antagonistic to men, while somehow simultaneously having men provide them security. They want their autonomy and their security, and they want it subsidized. Ooh, goddamn. They want to be antagonistic, little mean, sassy, snarky, smug assholes. Looking at you, Miss Teresa. Right? They want their autonomy, once again, while having their security. They want patriarchy by feminist specifications. And instead of Black men signing up for that, they're marrying out at an increasing rate, which is leaving the masses of Black women, well, with other Black women. 23% of young Black women now identify as bisexual. Yeah, y'all don't have a choice. The Jezebel spirits, the Miss Teresas of the world, Black women listen to women like that, and they find themselves perpetually single. Huh? Being the little sexual plaything for all men, white men, Black men, Latino men, Asian men, other women. Oops. Shout out to you, Miss Jezebel. Perfect title. Perfect title. I hear you. I get it. I get the tongue in cheek. I get the smug. Huh? Perfect title. Perfectly named. Continuing.
And all of the teachers kind of say similar things. I went on Reddit on a teacher thread where they're talking about this NPR piece. Something is going on with America's boys. In every single U.S. state, men are less likely than women to earn a bachelor's degree, but the educational achievement gap begins much, much earlier. By the time they're just 8 years old, boys are nearly a half a grade behind girls. And as that gap grows, it's correlated with higher rates of poverty, unemployment, and self-deletion for American men. When it comes to boys in school, for the good of the boys and the good of the nation, something needs to be done now. There's a general sense among a lot of parents that their son is like a square peg and that school is like a round hole. And that does seem to cross class and racial lines. So a professor at Stanford was collecting test scores from students across the country. And every student in 3rd through 8th grade takes a math and reading test every year. So they've been collecting data since 2009. So they got about 15 years worth of data. So they have something like 500 million test scores, this guy says. And those 500 million scores represent 80 million American students. We see very clearly that girls are outperforming boys in reading pretty much everywhere. There's almost no school in the country where boys are doing as well on average as girls in reading. But in math, on average, boys and girls are doing about the same. Interesting. So overall, math performance is the same on average. Everywhere, girls are reading better than boys. But in rich families, boys do better than girls in math. And in poor families, girls do better than boys in math. So it's flipped. What does that tell you? To me, that says it's a combination of a lack of resources, because rich kids, they get access to tutors and extra help when they need it. So the access to help when you need it in math is available if you're rich. And then Reeves comes back in and said, you see huge gaps all the way from pre-K, actually, of course, through postgraduate. But at the K through 12 level, at the end of high school, a pretty good measure of success is what is your GPA. And if we look at that distribution, among the top 10% of students ranked by GPA, 2/3 of them are girls. There are twice as many girls as boys at the top 10% of high school students. And in the bottom 10%, it's reversed. We see twice as many boys. And so by the end of high school, on basically every measure that you can assemble, there's a gender gap, and it's a gender gap that is leaving boys behind. So this is the problem people are talking about. And the two most talked about solutions I've seen are, hold boys back 1 year and increase the number of male teachers. But the argument I was making is that school hasn't changed. The overall function and way that we do school has not changed. The same amount of teachers were female, the same percentage of teachers were female back then than there are now. So now this is someone who stitched my video, this particular vitriolic stitch.
What happened is that you became a generation of toxically feminist, misandrist, hateful, spiteful, embittered teachers.
Okay, so this kind of argument, I know, is that the majority female teaching workforce became bitter feminist bitches. I think he's assuming I'm a teacher. I don't know what about my video led him to believe that I'm a teacher, but I'm not a teacher. But I listen to teachers when I hear about this stuff. And in this Reddit thread, there were teachers talking and reacting to this NPR series. They're basically saying the same thing, that the behavior of boys is a problem, that they're not as interested as they used to be, that they're not dedicated to the work. I personally know teachers that had been teaching for like 20, 30
You know what was great? Mr. Z didn't realize I was muted. Thank you for y'all saying that. Mr. Z didn't realize I was muted, so no one heard what I said. And this is why this is important. Rael says, you can look in her eyes and see how crazy she is. Ra, I said it. I was muted. And I said, let me repeat myself. My apologies, everyone. I was muted. I didn't realize. Madam, I don't know if the white folks appreciate and know what a black woman throwing temper tantrum is. You're speaking this way with this tone, right? You're enunciating your words, you're pausing at your punctuations, you're stopping at your periods, and you speak well. And we all know that you're throwing a temper tantrum like the video that I just played. At least in the black community, we know what it is, particularly black men. Now, whether your white liberal feminist sistren, will admit that is a different conversation. Whether those white liberal men will admit that, that's a different conversation. But in the black community, we know black women may or may not, probably won't, admit that this is what you're doing. This is what you're engaging in, right? The brother that you played is 150% correct when he says bitter, because you are bitter. We could smell it, we see it in your delivery, in your enunciation of your words, in your speaking like this, in your 3 and 4 syllable words, maybe 5 syllables, does not hide the fact that you're throwing a temper tantrum. Madam, we're not dumb or slow. I know that's hard and difficult to believe, especially for someone like you. We're not dumb or slow. We know what a black woman throwing a temper tantrum looks like, even if she's speaking like this in this tone. Huh? We know. I was muted. Rael didn't even know what I said, and he said the same thing. You are a bitter Betty. Exhibit A, your channel name. Exhibit B, your entire channel content. Huh? Yikes. The lady named her channel Jezebel Spirit. The term Jezebel Spirit is a Christian concept derived from the biblical figure Queen Jezebel, who is described as a control-driven, manipulative, and sexually immoral individual. Dear everyday black women, is this your queen? This lady sounds like she's educated enough. She probably earns enough to sustain herself, at least financially. All the rest of you, most of you, 85% of you, cannot. See you in the cold. Huh? This lady's rhetoric will not be able to save you from that freezing cold. Huh? Yikes. And like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. So continuing.
Retire or have left the profession for other things. And the women who have been teaching for like 15, 20 plus years, they were present for the shift. So they know what teaching is like before No Child Left Behind and after No Child Left Behind. So that's also important. But I do think teachers have changed and we stopped centering boys. That's it. I can't think of any other explanation. And yet the gentleman goes on.
Who failed to invest in those boys, who consistently denied the nurturing, the investment, the development that you devoted to the girl students.
Nurturing. All we do is nurture and coddle boys. We don't coddle girls at all.
Wait a minute. Are boys and men the stronger sex and women and girls are the weaker sex who, need more nurturing? Or are the boys the weaker sex? Which is it? It's almost like...
And there we go with the sassy backbiting comments. Look, it looks like the boys are the weaker sex. Get her 5 chuckles in. Oh, you gotta love it. She getting her 5 chuckles in. Wait a minute. I thought the boys were supposed to be the stronger ones. Huh? And women the girls aren't coddled. The girls are literally subsidized. The women are literally subsidized. The average man spends $5,000 to $12,000 more per year when in relationship. Madam, that's from Linden Tree. That's not something Mr. Z pulled out his rear end, unlike much of what you're spewing right now. Huh? The girls aren't coddled, the women aren't coddled. You're literally being subsidized. You want to talk about coddling? Black and Latina women who never marry, childless Black and Latina women, Black and Latina women who never marry are the least wealthy in the US, madam. That means that when you're with a man, you are literally being subsidized, coddled. See, there's what you say, and it sounds nice to the ears of a feminist. And there's what Mr. Z says, backed up by, that data and those numbers and those stats and yeah. Ugh. It sounds nice. I mean, you speak well and, huh? You want to make it seem like the other brother is unhinged. Madam, you can't hide behind a soft delivery. It sounds nice, but it's inaccurate, and it's backbiting, and it's spiteful. Sassy smug. Huh? Are the boys the stronger sex? Or the girls the stronger sex? Yeah, about that. You know what? No, madam, you're correct. The boys are the weaker sex, and it costs the women. Wait, that don't make any sense. Yeah. Huh? The boys are the weaker sex, and it costs the women and the girls. Black and Latina women who never marry are the least wealthy in the US. Uh-oh. Black boys and black men are the weaker sex. That's why black women's antidepressant use is double that of their male counterpart. And that's while they're being under-prescribed antidepressants. Uh-oh. Miss Teresa, are you sure about that? Sounds nice. All that antagonism. Sounds nice. Costing black women. Huh? It costs black women. Continuing.
Which is it? It's almost like he's saying the boys need more nurturing than the girls because they're getting the same amount of nurturing. That's the difference. We're just not centering the boys the whole time.
They're getting the same amount of nurturing. We're just not centering the boys the whole time. That's perfectly okay, madam. You don't have to center the boys the whole time. It's going to cost the girls and the women, though. And the women can center themselves while they're eating out each other's center. God damn, Z, 23% of black women now identify as bisexual. Yeah, we know because you don't got a choice. Shout out to black women. No, madam, y'all can center yourselves while y'all munch on each other's center. Z, that sounds like a threat. That's because it is. Huh? Shout out to you, ladies. Z, stop it. Love is love. You can't help who you love. That you can't. We're ending up with other women because we want to. Yeah, that's it. Huh? Bisexual. That means who I want don't want me sexual. That's what that is. The straight men that I want don't want me sexual. The men that I'm relegated to, I don't want them sexual. Bisexual. No. Lack of choices and options that you find viable sexual. Huh? Bisexual. No, loser sexual. Huh? You can't fire me, I quit sexual. Well, if I'm gonna come in last place I might as well not race sexual. I want you to appreciate, Miss Teresa, that is where you are regulating black women too. And women like you are okay with that. You're going to pretend like you don't get it. You're going to pretend like this is not what it is. And it is what it is. Me and you both know. Huh? Bisexual. No, madam. Struggle sexual. Yeah. Particularly for black women, madam, Mr. Z is not a white man. Mr. Z is not a white woman. I don't know how they reading this crap that you put out, but in the black community, we know most black women that are bisexual are really, you can't fire me, I quit sexuals. Huh? They're not bisexual, they're loser sexuals. Bisexual. Get out of here. And Keenan says struggle sexual. That's what they really are. You are a black women who are bisexual, I would argue, in vast majority in the black community, in vast majority in the black community are struggle sexuals. It's I want Mr. 6'2" plus tall, chisel chin Tyrone, and he doesn't even acknowledge my presence. I'm relegated to 5'4" frumpy, missing a couple of teeth Rodney. I might as well be with another woman. It's struggle sexual. We all know it. And women like Miss Teresa, that's what they relegate black women to. All that rhetoric sounds nice. It sounds empowering. It's antagonistic to the men. She gets her 5 chuckles in. That lady channel got almost 1,000 subscribers. I think the video don't even have 5,000 views, but it got 200 and some odd comments. Damn, they're almost 300 comments. Yeah. The women in the comments clapping it up and agreeing with her. This little antagonistic screed. Struggle sexual, as Afro Merchant said. Trisexual. That's what people like her, that's what they relegate black women to. You're not in a black man's program? Well, if you're in America and you're not on a black man's program, you got choices. Go be the sexual plaything for the non-black men, hoping that one day one of them will take you seriously enough to subsidize you, preferably, hopefully, in your case, with a wedding ring. You could stay out here perpetually single with your rose toy. You can engage in same-sex loving relationships with other women. And because women of other races ain't checking for black women like that, you're going to be in a same-sex loving relationship with another black woman, hoping that it doesn't turn into an MMA match in that goddamn house. And hoping that you or her won't cheat on each other with a man. And that's going to happen. And then it's going to turn into an MMA match in that house. Huh? Nice try, Miss Teresa. Continuing.
Both the boys and the girl. But it's almost like he's saying that the boys need more nurturing. So which is it? Are women and girls the inferior sex? Or are boys and men the inferior sex? Because in this comment, he's making it sound like boys are the inferior sex. You know, patriarchy really needs to pick a struggle. I don't know what families you grew up in or what data you're looking at, but the girls are taught from a very young age to be self-sufficient, to take care of ourselves and to take care of everyone around us. He goes,
patriarchy and to pick a struggle. And the women are taught to take care of themselves. Are you sure about that? Black and Latina women who never marry are the least wealthy in the U.S., madam. Are you sure about that? They're taught to take care of themselves? Are you sure about that? New study shows millennial men are not interested in going out as much as women. Are you sure about that? Take care of themselves. The average man spends $5,000 to $12,000 more per year when in relationship. You said they're taught to take care of themselves, ma'am.
I'm
Huh.
submitting to no man that expect me to go 50-50. You want your wife to bear your children, cook, clean, work enough hours to handle big bills, and take care of you? You expecting me to pay big bills, baby? I'm gonna want some bussy when I get off of work. Fuck is you talking about? Bend that ass over. Let that bussy breathe. This what you wanted, right? 50-50, right? And I do mean assume the position when I get off of work. As soon as I get off of work, that ass better be tooted up. As soon as he get up off me, I'm gonna look at him like, my turn. My turn.
Yeah, because that's the sound of a person that was raised to take care of themselves, and when they're presented with a half and half relationship, they're like, you know what, yes, I'll come in with my 50, you come in with your 50, and we're all even Steven. That sounds like one, right? Take care of themselves. But this sounds like taking care of yourself.
Niggas be so quick to let me take you on a trip. Let me take you on a trip. Pay a fucking bill. Pay a bill. Pay a goddamn bill.
Always begging. Damn.
Can we get on the phone? No, get on the phone with billing. Don't talk to me. Talk to billing.
Yeah, that's the sound of taking care of yourself. This is the sound of taking care of yourself.
Top tier. Your dick is not equal to my fucking pussies. Point blank period.
His dick ain't equal to your fucking bills neither.
God damn. Look, at the end of the day, I ain't
Them bills got your name on it. They don't have his dick name on it.
At the end of the day, I ain't fucking no broke ass nigga. Do what you want with your pussy.
Yeah, you don't have to fuck no broke ass nigga.
Straight up.
Look, you can fuck a nigga that ain't broke. That's not a problem. But just because he ain't paying your bills, don't mean he fucking broke. That mean it ain't his goddamn responsibility. Your bills got your name on it. It don't have his dick name on it.
Okay, you're right. I land my plane.
You see how that mouth?
Yeah, because that's the sound of taking care of yourself, right? The women are socialized to take care of themselves, right? Huh? Or is it more that the women didn't actually take into account what their freedom cost them?
Don't shoot the messenger. Feminism told y'all be strong, independent, and alone. And y'all followed it to the grave. Y'all pushed all the good men away, called submission slavery, and think being difficult is cute. Now y'all 35 and tired, looking around like, oh, where the good men at? Sis, they moved on. Real men want peace, not problems in a lace front and a loud voice. Feminism sold y'all freedom, but they didn't mention the price.
Feminism showed y'all freedom or taught y'all freedom, but they didn't mention the price. Ooh, feminism taught y'all freedom, but it didn't mention the price. Miss Teresa, you said taking care of yourself. The girls are socialized to take care of themselves. Yeah, and that bill is more than you make. Maybe not you particularly, Miss Teresa, but you as in women, particularly black women. The masses of black women, yeah, they can't afford their lifestyle. And eventually they get tired, and they're tired of putting up a facade, and they say, hey, I need help. Sometimes as late as their 50s.
For your night. That's a very pro-woman, amazing, like strong, independent woman. But might I add another angle? I would feel like, why the hell ain't no one trying to scoop me up to save my life? Am I ugly? Are they better looking than me? Like, why are they getting saved and I'm over here working, taking on extra shifts now because she got Richard Gere that came and scooped her up and now she got an easy life and now I got extra corns on my toes and my back hurts because no one's saving me. So you have a very positive attitude. I would have been a little bitter like, why the fuck? Why not me? Why not? I don't want to be irresponsible. I'm sick of it. I'm tired of the goddamn cape. Somebody save me. I want to be Julia Roberts on Hollywood Boulevard in cheap shoes when some guy comes and saves me. I have worked hard since I was 14 and I had to pay. I'm sick of it, Erica.
I do understand.
It's a thankless job being classy and independent. It's thankless. I've been dating since the 1980 something and I'm still single. I'm tired, Erica. You found your man. Don't hate. Let me live it. Let me vent. You're off the strip. I am still on it. I'm in the trenches and it sucks. I'm sick of being independent. I fucking hate paying for my fucking Range Rover, my other car, my mortgage insurance, my freaking cell phone, computer, Wi-Fi. I am sick of it. I need
Miss
some guy with
Teresa.
bad health to jump on in and interrupt and say, let me take you off your shift. You've been working hard enough. So that's cute what she's doing. I'm not doing that. We are different. I'm tired. I've proven myself, and it only impresses other women. She's like, oh, that's amazing. My friend's independent. These men don't care. Come and save me, some chic, minus the dookie. Just please come and save me. I'm tired. I'm tired, Erica. I don't want to do it no more. Where's my Melania? I want the Melania Trump plan. I'm sick. I've proven myself. Since 1988.
At 88.
I'm tired. I was 15 out of paper route.
Damn, that's a long time.
72 clients. 30-cent tip for some of you bastards in East Providence, Rhode Island on 2nd Street. I remember I gave you papers 7 days a week, and on Sunday you gave me a 30-cent tip. I'm tired. So I'm glad it worked out for you, but I'm not there.
Being a strong, independent woman since 1988 is a lot, Claudia.
Since Salt and Pepper came out.
That's a lot.
I'm tired.
Damn.
So yes.
Damn.
Excuse me if I'm a little frustrated. So I envy the girls that got taken off the pole, so to say.
Nobody said nothing about no damn pole.
But metaphorically.
Yeah, nobody said what my point was, because here's the thing. The point was that this is a...
Take off the cape, Erica. We lost the election. We're not doing this anymore.
I'm not...
Soft life. Hookers are winning.
All about...
Hoes are winning. Hookers are in the White House again. First lady, if you will. I'm over it. No one cares. Nobody cares about independence anymore. But I respect it, but they don't.
I get it.
Yeah. Socialized to take care of themselves. Are you sure about that, Miss Teresa? Huh? Are you sure about that? And Compassionate says, I love the narrative that Black women are raised to take care of themselves and everyone else. You heard what the lady said. It sound nice. These one-liners be sounding nice, man. Especially when they're not challenged. Black women will give you the Black women like Miss Teresa, they'll give you some dope one-liners. Huh? All that encouraging and inspiring talk. Huh? That self-aggrandizement talk. Oh, they'll give that to you all day, every day. Other Black women, Black women like Miss Teresa, they have that rhetoric for other black women, that sassy, snarky, backbiting, bitter talk. Right? And you got to couple that up with the smug look on their face as they speak. Miss Teresa, the sovereign woman, Kim Foster, you ever see when they speak? The smug on their face is priceless. Huh? Meanwhile, your average Black woman, super struggle. Yeah. Median income of what, $32,000, $35,000 a year, something like that. Yikes. Continuing.
He goes,
You've done everything possible to ensure that you provide preferential treatment to your girl students, and you lack the integrity to even be honest about it.
He says this, but he doesn't give any specific examples, and he points to no data, of course. If that is the case, if we're giving preferential treatment to girls, what does that look like? But in this New York Times piece, it says, quote, kindergarten has become significantly more academic because of the effects of a national law passed in 2001, with children expected to spend more time sitting still and learning math and reading. And many boys do not enter with the skills to meet those expectations. So they're starting out behind. So my question is, first of all, by the way, that law in 2001, that's No Child Left Behind. I believe that's what they're referring to there. They don't say it, but that's No Child Left Behind. It focuses more on test scores. So you have to do formal math and reading learning much earlier in order to prepare the students for the testing. Adding to that, childhood has changed in recent years in ways that could have set boys back further. The isolation of the pandemic delayed young children's development. They've been having this conversation before COVID-19, so I don't think that's really the reason for it. These factors affect all children, but they may have been particularly hard on boys who scientists have shown are more vulnerable to hardship. And this supports my point. Boys are more vulnerable to hardship. They're not as resilient. And I have heard interviews with this Richard Reeves guy, who's the advocate for boys, and interviews with Scott Galloway, who talks about this too. And they even admit girls are more resilient than boys. When girls and boys are raised in single parent households, because men like this, he goes on to
Let's pause right there with the girls are more resilient than boys. And even Dr. Richard Reeves and the Scott Galloways of the world say that. I thought you were supposed to be the smart one, madam. You don't understand what they're doing there? The framing? Z, don't tell him. I won't tell her. She know what it is. And if she didn't, she just appreciated it with Mr. Z's tone. You don't see what he's doing there? You don't understand with Dr. Richard Reeves? You haven't watched Dr. Richard Reeves long enough, have you? Oh, wait, you haven't watched his interviews. You haven't watched him work his way around what to say, how to say it, how to frame it, and how to present it to, wait for it, women. You don't think he appreciates that women like you exist? And how he has to frame these things so he could get a couple of dollars to advance the boys and the men? You don't get it yet? I thought you were supposed to be the quote-unquote resilient one and smart one and educated one. Uh-oh. You took what he said at face value. You don't even appreciate what he's doing. Wait a minute. But y'all supposed, madam, women like you in particular, women like you, black women like you in particular, didn't you just say a few minutes ago that you thought that the boys were supposed to be the smart and strong ones? But it's looking like that's not the case. I thought the girls were supposed to be the smart ones. But you don't even appreciate what Dr. Richard Reeves is doing it, and more importantly, why he has to do it that way, while women like you exist with the channel named Jezebel Spirit. I thought we were supposed to be the slow ones, y'all. Huh? Oh! And Compassionate says Richard Reeves frames it that way so that feminists like her can accept centering boys. Feminists like her will never center boys. But appreciate what you're saying here. Look at that. Compassionate. Look at that. Wait a minute. Compassionate and callous. Wait a minute. That's a black man out of the Chicagoland area. I don't know, Compassionate. Remember, we're the ones who lack resilience and we're the slow ones. Remember. Yeah. Continuing.
When boys and girls are raised in single parent households, and while most of those households are single mothers, it holds true with single fathers too. It's across the board. When one parent is not there, it is devastating to the boy, but it's not to the girl, even when that single parent is a father. And even these people admit that it's because girls are more resilient. And when the interviewer, in this case,
remember, she keeps saying that girls are more resilient. And the definition of resilience is, resilient better yet, is of a person or animal able to withstand or recover quickly from difficult conditions. Now, if that's the definition of resilient, why is it that those girls, a couple decades out, when they're adults, are on antidepressants more than their male counterparts across the board, including in the black community, where black women are antidepressants at over 2 times the rate, actually, of black men? This shows 2 times the rate. Is actually more than that, because black women are actually on antidepressants somewhere around 13%. And that's while they're being underprescribed antidepressant pills? Uh-oh. Huh? Resilience, madam. Is that why when you're around 50 years old, for the black girls that become black women, for the girls that become women in America, is that why when you're around 50 plus years old, about 1/5 of the women are on antidepressant pills. What are you talking about, Z?
Now we have a GMA health alert, a headline we first saw in the Wall Street Journal asking why more women in middle age are turning to antidepressants than ever before. Our ABC News chief medical correspondent Dr. Ashton's here going to break it down. So this is startling. According to the CDC, approximately 1 in 5 women between the ages of 40 to 59 and 1 in just 4 women over 50 are turning to antidepressants. That's compared with 1 in 10 women between 18 and 39 using this kind of medicine. Why is this happening?
Well, the short answer.
We're going to play that again. We're going to come back to that. Madam, Miss Teresa, whose channel name is The Jezebel Spirit. 1 in 5, 50 plus. 1 in 4, 60 plus. For women. Resilience, right? Those girls, when they become women, so give or take 20 years of their life, they're minors. 18 years old, but fine, we'll round it up to 20. So 2 decades. But decade 3, 4, they start to lose it. 4.5 decades. Decade 5, 1 out of 5. Decade 6, 1 out of 4. I don't know, ma'am. You said resilience. Those girls become women and don't look like they're really resilient. They're on antidepressant pills. We could talk about hormones and the stresses of life. Are men not going through stressors of life? Continuing.
Now we have a GMA health alert, a headline we first saw in the Wall Street Journal asking why more women in middle age are turning to antidepressants than ever before. Our ABC News chief medical correspondent Dr. Ashton's here going to break it down. So this is startling. According to the CDC, approximately 1 in 5 women between the ages of 40 to 59 and 1 in just 4 women over 50 are turning to antidepressants. That's compared with 1 in 10 women between 18 and 39 using this kind of medicine. Why is this happening?
Well, the short answer is we don't know, Robin, but the first step is making this observation. The second step is talking about it, which is why I'm so glad we're having this conversation. But yes, there definitely seems to be some differences in the rates of depression in women versus men and as women age, whether that's a hormonal contribution as women get to menopause or just more lived life experiences, life stressors, world events, things that we've all been through. We don't know, but those numbers absolutely jaw-dropping when you see how common this is.
And of course there's concern. You don't want to overprescribe this type of drugs. So who are they really intended for?
Well, I think that's the key. When people hear this, they tend to go all to one extreme or another. It's not all bad or all good. For the right person, antidepressants for a certain period of time or even a prolonged period of time can be incredibly beneficial. They can help with a depressed mood. They can help with a loss of interest in daily activities and activities that previously used to give joy or pleasure to someone. And they can restore the sleeping, eating routines that are so often disrupted in people and women who suffer from depression, but they can also have risks. So those need to be discussed with the patient before you write that prescription.
Signs for depression.
I think we all need to recognize this, Robin, because they are subtle, but then when they're happening to you, they don't feel so subtle. So chronic sadness, what we call somatic effects of depression, which is physical pain, headache, body aches, where you can't find another attributable cause. Change in sleeping and eating habits are big, and anxiety coming from depression. There is no shame in the game. Speak up, get help.
Thank you for saying that. No shame in the game. Speak up. Thank you. Thank you, Jim. So see you on GMA3 a little bit later. Well, hey there.
Yeah, Miss Teresa. And Mr. Z was saying it wrong. It's not over the age of 50, is it? It's 1 out of 5. It's over the age of 40. 1 out of 5 women over the age of 40 are on some antidepressants. And then by the time they hit 60 years old, 1 out of 4. Madam, you said resilient. The girls are resilient. The girls that become women 1 out of 5, 20% are on some type of antidepressants, madam. You want to talk about resilience? You want to talk about resilience? 1 out of 10 under the age of 40 are on some type of antidepressants. 1 out of 5 over the age of 40. 1 out of 4 over the age of 60. Those are signs of being resilient, madam. What about that depression? Maybe some of that depression concerning black women has to do with how many of them are kinless as they age. A disproportionate number of black women are kinless as they age. Advocates say they deserve a social safety net too. Maybe they're on antidepressants, ma'am. Maybe they're depressed, ma'am, because black and Latina women who never marry are the least wealthy in the U.S. Maybe because they're the least wealthy in the U.S., they've been listening to women like you their entire life. They don't have any children. They're not married, right? They took all the trips that they could afford, at least. And now they don't got no man and no kids, and they don't got no money, maybe. And now, the depression really hits, and then time for some antidepressant pills, possibly. Huh? Or maybe they're tired of engaging in Royal Rumble in that goddamn house when they're in same-sex loving relationships. 23% of young black women now identify as bisexual, struggle sexual. You can't fire me, I quit sexual. Continuing.
In this case, I believe it was an episode of Diary of a CEO, and it was Stephen Bartlett, when he asked why. Do we know why girls are more resilient? And they're like, I don't know. Patriarchy. We're trained to be resilient. We're trained to put up with all of your shit and just keep on keeping on. That's what we're trained.
Madam, Miss Teresa, women like you exist. Black women like you exist in the black community at a disproportionate rate. You speak about patriarchy and having to put up with men's ish. You, as a black woman, we already know you're particularly speaking about black men's ish. Madam, women like you exist. Mr. Z don't really got to make an argument. Women like you exist. That is the argument, ma'am. Putting up with men's ish, the patriarchy. Miss Teresa, you exist. Women, black women like you exist. You know who's resilient in the black community? Black men. How do we know, Z? Because black women like Miss Teresa exist. And because black women like Miss Teresa exist, young black men are dating and marrying out more. That's why they're popping up to the family get-together, Thanksgiving, Christmas dinner with the white woman or Latina, maybe an Asian woman here or there. Why? Because they aunties and their mothers and their grandmothers and their girl cousins and their older and younger sisters are, well, Miss Teresa. Huh? Putting up with your ish. What was the definition of Jezebel spirit again? The term Jezebel spirit is a Christian concept derived from the biblical figure Queen Jezebel, who is described as a control-driven, manipulative, and sexually immoral individual. The spirit is believed to be demonic influence, causing people, both men and women, to exhibit traits like control, intimidation, Dr. Umar Johnson style, intimidation, false teaching, ooh, goddamn, Miss Teresa, false teaching, and a desire for worldly leadership and fame. Miss Teresa, false teaching. I mean, you name your channel the Jezebel Spirit Podcast. We looked up the term Jezebel Spirit. And in the term Jezebel Spirit is false teaching. I mean, it's right there in your face, miss. I mean, huh? Jezebel Spirit, right? False teaching. Are you sure you want to name your channel that? I know you're trying to do it tongue in cheek and kind of mock the men and kind of run ahead of whatever man was going to call you a Jezebel. But, madam, in the term is false teaching. You know, kind of like what you're engaging in right now. I seen all of you guys super chats. I'm going to get to them in a minute. Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Continuing.
And just keep on keeping on. That's what we're trained to do. So we're more resilient because we're expected to be. And boys and men are less resilient because they're not expected to be. So,
madam, black boys and black men are unfortunately wearing the same jersey color as you, madam. Talk about being resilient. If we are stuck in a community with a woman like you, and increasingly our son said, what community? If we're stuck in a community with a woman like you, madam, you better believe these are a whole lot of resilient men. You want to know what? You know what? Z, don't even do that. Madam, the black boys and black men are the resilient ones, madam. Your head is still attached to your shoulders, madam. That's how we know they're the resilient ones. Ooh, goddamn, Z, let me stop. Continuing.
based on this data I'm looking at, I think my theory is right. Boys are more vulnerable to hardship. An article back in 2015, like I said, this conversation started happening in the early 2000s. It is not just a post-pandemic thing. So it starts to think boys are falling behind. It starts from grade school, goes all the way through college, blah, blah, blah. New research by social scientists offers one explanation. Boys are more sensitive than girls to disadvantage. Let me repeat that. New research from social scientists. This is a 2015. So we've had this research since 2015. We've had it 10 years. Boys are more sensitive than girls to disadvantage. Any disadvantage, like growing up in poverty, living in a bad neighborhood, or without a father, takes more of a toll on boys than on their sisters. The assumption is that because the absent parent is usually the father, that's why the boy suffers more. But this lack of resilience is across the board. It's not just a father not being there. It's any kind of hardship. That realization could be a starting point for educators, parents, and policymakers who are trying to figure out how to help boys, particularly those from Black, Latino, and immigrant families. It's something about family disadvantage itself, said David Figlio, a Northwestern University economist and co-author of a new paper presented publicly for the first time. Quote, Black people in America are more disadvantaged than white people in America. And if we were to reduce this disadvantage, we may see a reduction in the relative gender gap as well. So if you reduce the disadvantage.
Is it Z, or does this smell like some borderline swirler divester talk? That's number one. Number two, if boys are more sensitive to disadvantage, madam, you do appreciate that hurts the women as we get older, right? You do appreciate that you are relegating black women, particularly, right, to a lifetime of some same-sex loving life, right? And y'all gives you a second. Oh, okay, there we go. Oh, had some technical difficulties for a minute. Yeah, 23% of young women, of young black women, excuse me, identify as bisexual. Madam, I could just keep on spamming these over and over again. The only reason Mr. Z don't got more is because we didn't have no space. You know, when you listen to these wayward women speak like Miss Teresa, you know they're myopic and they're short-sighted because they speak this way. They antagonize the boys, the men, they mock them, they get their 5 chuckles in, And fine, okay, we want to center the girls and the women. It's all about black girls and black women in particular in the black community. Okay, fine. How does this work for them? Oops. Okay, fine. The black girls and black women are jumping over and leaping. Well, how Dr. Thunder said, they're leaping over Negroes and it's one single bound. Okay, fine. We'll go with it. Right? All right. If that's the framing, we'll go with it. Okay, Miss Teresa, we'll go with it. But how does this benefit black girls and black women? The majority of black girls and black women, last time I checked, are still heterosexual. How is this supposed to work for them in that way? Oops, it doesn't work. Okay, fine. We live in an anti-black society. Not enough of them are going to get wifed up by a non-black man. How's that supposed to work for them? Oops, it's not going to. Okay, fine. Huh? Last time I checked, even having children, black women, a nice chunk of them, still a majority, even if it's a slight majority, want to have children. How is this supposed to work for them? Oops, it's not. So, you engage in this antagonism, you insult, you have the smug ass attitude, you sass, and this doesn't benefit black women. So you engage in it because see, it'd be one thing if this weirdo talk benefited black women. If black with single women had all of this money and all of this network, right? In community, it'd be one thing if we saw masses of black women earning 80, 90, 100 plus $1,000 a year, 120, 150, $250,000, droves of black women earning that type of money, right? Droves of black women marrying outside the black community, droves of black women who truly meant when they said, oh, I'm strong, independent, I'll be single, I'll be rich auntie, not barely making it auntie, not struggling auntie talking about rich auntie. See, that would have been one thing. And then even though that still would have been the worst thing in the world, it wouldn't be the absolute worst thing in the world to have a Miss Teresa speaking that way. Because you could kind of get it, be like, okay, well, they still sound like assholes, but you know, they got money and they doing their thing, right? They go into the sperm bank and they having they test tube babies and they could afford it. And so, you know, and look at all the test tube babies that come from black women that are successful and they doing their thing. And that would be a different argument, but we have the Miss Teresas of the world who are antagonistic, mean, snarky, rude, sassy, smug, who name their channel the Jezebel Spirit, and the masses of black women have nothing to show for this type of rhetoric for decades. Huh? We've been having black women sound and look with the smug ass face like Miss Foster, like Miss Teresa. We've been having women like that for decades in the black community. And what do they have to show for it? Not even concerning black boys and black men. You know what? Forget black and boys and black men they already have. What do they have to show for black women? Huh? They got that anti-civil rights attorney that just made sure they couldn't get money on the slide from the banks. Then you got the JD Vances and the Elon Musk and the Donald Trumps that came through and slashed a bunch of federal jobs. Huh? You have the other, you have them slashing affirmative action, which didn't really benefit black women much, but it benefited black women more than black men. They're not even getting the crumbs of the crumbs anymore. And yet Miss Teresa's still talking like this. Say it again for the people, Z. We could be in the middle of Armageddon, and you will still have the Miss Teresas being antagonistic towards black men. Black women could be starving in the middle of the streets. And the first thing Miss Teresa thinks to do when she wakes up in the morning is, how am I going to mock and make fun of black boys and men today? Huh? Yikes. Eric says, spare us the image you have on the screen. Hysterical. Even in this late date, Miss Teresa decides to antagonize boys and men. Alrighty then. Continuing.
The boys will perform more. And as late stage capitalism, squeezes families, they got to work more hours, they devote less time to parenting. There are more and more families that are feeling the hit. And because the boys are less resilient than the girls, when there are fewer resources.
The boys are less resilient than the girls. Madam, you keep on saying that. That sound nice. Dr. Richard Reeves said it too. I know why he's saying it. Huh? We know why he's saying it. It's different than why you're saying it. Once again, resilient of a person or animal, very importantly, able to withstand or recover quickly from difficult conditions. If the girls and the women are so resilient, madam, then why is it that 1 out of 10 under the age of 40 are on antidepressant pills, 1 out of 5 above 40, and 1 out of 4 above 60? Huh? And every year that antidepressant pill or that antidepressants, it increases, particularly in women. As women's marriage rate goes down, funny enough, oops. As women have less children, yikes. As women couple up less with men, but their antidepressant rate is going up. Wouldn't it be going down if they're less likely to be coupled up with a man? And wouldn't it be going down if they're less likely to have children? Or is it that that's costing them money also? Not just their sanity, but literal funds. The average man spends $5,000 to $12,000 more per year when in relationship. Z, you gonna say it for the 1/0th time? The outliers are doing too much talking. The outliers are doing too much talking. These weirdo losers, I don't care how educated they are doing too much talking, Miss Teresa. Continuing.
And the girls, when there are fewer resources available, boys fall behind because they need more help because we don't raise them the same way we raise girls. The girls can handle the challenges because they're more resilient. So as those extra resources go away, the boys suffer. It's not just poor people, it's middle class people. Now we're feeling that. It's even some upper middle class people that are feeling. And by the way, this is a solution that feminists have been talking about forever. The concern for poverty, for people in poverty, has always been a leftist concern because we know, particularly feminists, we know that poverty has been deliberately feminized. If you are a woman, particularly if you are a black woman, your chances of living in poverty increase exponentially when you have a child. And it doesn't matter whether you're married to the child's father or not. Just having a child itself, just becoming a mother itself, especially for black women, puts you at more risk for poverty. And yet the girls, we're not worried about the girls. The girls are fine, apparently. Just for funsies, I decided to ask ChatGPT what she thought. My ChatGPT is a woman. I said, why are boys more sensitive to disadvantage than girls? How come girls are more resilient? That's a really interesting question. And it's actually been explored in a lot of research. One theory is that girls tend to develop stronger social support networks and coping mechanisms early on. And they might be more likely to express their emotions and seek help when they need it. Boys, on the other hand, might be socialized to be more self-reliant and less likely to ask for help, which can make them seem more sensitive to disadvantage. It's a complex topic, but definitely fascinating. Reading on. Their findings are...
Of course you want to sidestep that. I asked AI and the AI actually told you the truth. Moving on. Yeah. So what did your AI say again? That the men aren't a burden? That when the men say self-reliant, they really mean it? Oops. That the men haven't developed certain coping mechanisms? Yikes. Heavy on the cope. Dope. So you asked your AI, madam. Miss Teresa, you asked your AI. Why is it that the girls are more resilient? And your AI said, yeah, well, they're less likely to lean on community and they're less of a burden and they know they got to get it on their own. So, yeah. Oops. Look how quickly you wanted to run from that one. Madam, your AI didn't BS you. It said, actually, because the men, they ain't trying to be a burden. They believe in self-reliance for real. They're not just throwing out the word reliance. Excuse me, I said reliance. Resilience. Huh? Now, moving along. Yeah, of course you want to move along. Of course. See, it didn't give you the answer. Well, the reason that the girls are more self-reliant is because the girls are tougher. The girls are socialized to be tougher. Because the boys and the men are so burdensome, and because our society is a patriarchal run society, the girls are more resilient because they have to deal with men's crap. And because your AI didn't say that, you have to run swiftly and quickly away from what your AI said. Huh? Uh-oh. Mr. Donnie Max says self-reliance is a form of resiliency. Don't let her hear you say that. Huh? Continuing.
Fairly consistent. Families that invest more in children are protective for boys. And like rising tide lifts all boats, right? If you invest more in families, there's lots of social problems that will get better or disappear. People's health will improve. People's access to education.
I heard that, miss. People that are focused on family invest more in boys. I wonder why. Huh. Why would you invest more in the boys who are going to become men one day? And Mr. Donnie Max says self-reliance is a form of resiliency. Black and Latina women who never marry are the least wealthy in the U.S. Huh? The average man spends $5,000 to $12,000 more per year when in relationship. Why would you invest more in the boys? Huh? Is it because the boys are going to be lifting the entire family on their shoulders when they become men? Uh-oh. Why would we center the boys who are going to become men? I wonder. It's because of patriarchy. Oh, okay, fine. Y'all ladies could carry the entire freight by yourselves. What was that again about antidepressant pills? Whoopsie. It's a dance, Miss Teresa. The women don't have to dance, Miss Teresa, but I hope you can buy their antidepressant pills for them, Miss Teresa. It's a dance between the men and the women. And all the women that don't want to dance, here's a punch bowl full of antidepressant pills. You're going to need it. And grab your gift bag on the way out the door. It's a rose toy in there. Yeah, you're going to need that too. Huh? Women like Miss Teresa are antagonistic. They're smug. They're rude. They're condescending. They're bratty. And it cost women, black women, everything. Huh? Yikes. Continuing.
Like the original creator said in the TikTok video I stitched, the solution is the same. You can't say we need more male teachers or to hold boys back when that's not what's causing the problem. It's boys' lack of resilience that's causing the problem. That and the disappearing of the amount extra resources that families can devote to their children due to income inequality, wealth inequality, late stage capitalism. So the solutions are, number one, raise boys to be more resilient like girls, and number two, implement policies that give families.
Are the girls as resilient as you say, madam? Raise boys to be more resilient like the girls. No, leave the girls to go fight for the top 20% of men they want. And if they can't get them, then die. Ooh, god damn, see? Yep. No, leave the women to their own devices, pun intended. Shout out to Rose Toy Company. No, madam, absolutely not. Raise the boys to be more resilient like the girls. No, leave the girls to their own devices. And if they can't manage to snag them one of those top 25% of men, top 20% of men, well, shrugs. And Rael says, Z, read the wealth of the black single women and married women over time. In this article, it's not a long article, and it's written by a black woman too. Rod, if you can, send it to my email. I'll cover it. I'm good for it. I'll cover it. People like this, I promise you, we care more about black girls and women than these people do. Shout out to Mr. Z. Shout out to Paris Milan. Not Paris Milan, Z. Paris Milan said black women hate men more than they love other women. Ooh, goddamn. Yes, that Paris Milan. Paris Milan said that. She was low-key talking about herself too. But when you hear the Chrissy speak, when you hear the real talk with, not so much real talk with Yanni, but we're going to say her anyway. When you hear the real talk with Yanni speak, when you hear the Kim Foster speak, when you hear the sovereign women speak, there was a couple of women I played yesterday. You can tell their rage at men, particularly black men, their utter contempt for black men is greater than any love they will ever have for black women. They truly do hate black men more than they love black women. They truly want to see black men suffer, even if black men suffering will bring about black women suffering en masse. They mock black men, they antagonize black men, they dance on black men's misfortune, and you watch that have a ripple effect that runs right smack dab into black women and knocks them the hell over. And the 1, 2, or 3 of them that don't get hit, the outliers, continue, well, to still antagonize, mock, and make fun of. These are simply bad actors. They're bad actors. They cherry pick information. They present it in ways that is not honest. It's not honest with their subscribers, with their followers, with their listeners. And as they watch their listeners scream in poverty, in agony, loneliness, singleness, horniness, they watch them cry in those cars. The car confessional. Shout out to Destro. They say absolutely nothing. If they do say something, it is to once again redirect the energy right back to, you know, it's the men's fault, right? Oops. Yikes. Antagonizing black men, mocking black men, making fun of black men. And how does that benefit black women? Well, it doesn't. Huh? Well, it doesn't. Continuing.
More economic power and more money so that they have time and resources to devote to all of their children. So if you eliminate as many hardships as possible, if you can create a world where we have fewer hardships for families, the academic performance of boys will improve. Girls and women seem to succeed despite these things because, like I said, we're socialized to deal with everybody's bullshit. We are more resilient, but we're more
Girls and women succeed despite these things, madam? Wait, what? Black and Latina women who never marry are the least wealthy in the US? Wait a minute. Girls and women succeed despite? Are you sure about that?
Now, where staggering numbers have been released surrounding black women in the labor force. A new report shows more than 300,000 black women have left the workforce in just the last several months. That's according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. Joining me now is gender economist Katika Roy to break this all down and why they're leaving. Katika, thank you so much for being with us. You recently wrote an article where you say that this isn't happening by accident. Why do you think it is happening?
This is happening because of cuts to public sector positions. So if you look at the federal labor force, Black women make up just over 12% of the federal labor force. It's about double their representation in the labor force overall. And when you have targeted cuts up to 50% in organizations such as the Department of Education and HHS, you're not just trimming the fat, you're actually cutting the economic backbone for Black women.
Wow. And so what are some of the spillover effects from all of this?
Well, one of the things that we know is that there is a connection between women's labor force participation and GDP. So just Black women's labor force participation has dropped by just over 2% in the last 3 months. And that has sucked over $37 billion out of US GDP. So this is the economic cost of gender policy ignorance.
This is really fascinating because do you think that most people are unaware of the actual impacts of things like this?
Absolutely. So when we often think about women's issues or Black women's issues, we think of it as an over there problem. It's not. It's an everybody problem. When our economy grows, that has more jobs and more income for everyone. So we know, for instance, overall, that for every 1 percentage point that women leave the labor force, there's a $146 billion hit to GDP.
Oh my gosh. And so we've talked about the consequences, but is there an upside to all of this? Are we seeing women pivoting to entrepreneurship as they're leaving the workforce? What then are they doing?
You know, that's a great question. And the truth is, we don't know where all of the 300,000 Black women that have actually been pushed out of the labor force have gone. We know that some of them have gone into entrepreneurship, which is not only because of luxury, but it's actually because of survival. And this is really a testament to their resilience, but it also shows the rigidity in our traditional employment systems.
Are there any other groups that we are seeing largely impacted in this way in the labor workforce?
Not to this extent. So I track all of the data, as you can imagine, month over month by gender and race and ethnicity. And I started to see this trend about 3 months ago with this really precipitous drop in Black women out of the labor force. And this is a huge hit. And historically, just to give you a sense of the historical context, this is the first time in years that Black women's labor force participation has fallen below Latinas' labor force participation.
Wow. It's really fascinating to see these numbers, to hear you explain all of it and break down the real world impacts on our GDP and the economy at large. Katika Roy, thank you for what you do and thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Miss Teresa, you said something along or thereabout of success in spite of something like that, you said, right? Somewhere around there. Yeah, resilient, right? See, there are economic forces, there are workplace forces that you can't resilient your way out of. And as you can see, the interviewer was looking for some hope. They're getting into entrepreneurship, right? Yawn. No, they're strugglepreneurs. Not entrepreneurs, strugglepreneurs. Some 98% of Black female-led businesses have no employees. It's just her. Miss Teresa, this is the cost of women like you, black women like you, and your antagonism for decades. Your smugness doesn't pay the bills, madam. Maybe it pays your bills. It doesn't pay the bills for the masses of black women. Yeah, exactly, Indigo. Sole proprietorships. Yeah. Shout out to resilience, though.
Despite these things, because like I said, we're socialized to deal with everybody's bullshit. We are more resilient, but we're more resilient because we're socialized to be. We're expected to do all these things and not complain. Boys aren't. By the time boys from poor neighborhoods start kindergarten, they are already less prepared than their sisters. And this is back to what those researchers were saying. Reeves, Galloway, who are all misogynistic assholes, by the way. They masquerade as mainstream, intellectual big thinkers. They're all peddling some of the same misogynist red pill lies that the more.
Why are they misogynistic? Madam, they even you didn't even appreciate that they're framing this in ways, to disarm you. Women like you, white, black, and Latina women like you called them misogynistic assholes because they're not kissing your ass. And guess what? They still kind of are kissing your ass. Apparently, they're not kissing women like you ass good enough. You want it licked clean. Huh? You're called Richard Reeves of all people. Hey, if Richard Reeves is a misogynistic asshole, bro, hey, we shouldn't even argue. Just push women like you to the side. See? Discipline. Discipline. Push women like you to the side and get to the business of putting our boys and our men in their rightful position ahead of women like you, because women like you don't benefit anyone, including the women and the girls. Say that again, Z, slow. Women like you benefit no one, including the women and the girls. Miss Teresa, I've been spamming certain memes, clips, articles. Well, actually, no articles really, outside of one or two, to emphasize the point. Black women don't have no goddamn money. They're dying kinless, ma'am. They're dying poor and kinless. And you decide to be antagonistic and to go all the way to call the Scott Galloways and the Richard Reeves of all people misogynistic assholes. You know what, I watched Dr. Richard Reeves realize, oh crap, the women want hypergamy and equality at the same time. That ain't gonna happen. I watch him realize that and still try to frame it in ways that are laudatory and conciliatory to women like you, and I see you still call him a misogynistic asshole. Oh my God. I watched the Richard Reeves of the world and the Scott Galloways of the world say, you know what? We thought the Mr. Z's were misogynistic, sexist assholes, but we appreciate what he's actually saying. He's right. But we can't say it. The Miss Teresa's, no, Mr. Z is right. Oh, goddamn, you said it out loud. But she wants to see the men squirm. She wants to see them suffer. And in their suffering, if the masses of women suffer too, well, I watch as Anne-Marie Slaughter openly, straight up said, look, ladies, we can't move an inch from where we are now until we view men differently. Oops. We're going to have to find men that put their work second in their family first, we're going to have to find them masculine, because we went as far as we can go with the men accepting this without us accepting it. Translation, with the men accepting playing the sidekick. Now the women are the problem. I watch as Anne-Marie Slaughter essentially say that men like Dr. Richard Reeves and Scott Galloway back her up, and then you call Dr. Richard Reeves and Scott Galloway misogynistic assholes. Though I'm only going to state the obvious that you already know. The women don't want what you're selling, ma'am. When they read the fine print, they don't want what you're selling. And you're not even being honest with them with what you're selling. Huh? Yikes.
Like, oh, this is gonna make feminism look bad. Welcome to the Bell Hooks Book Club! Just as it was misguided for reformist feminist thinkers to see freedom as simply women having the right to be like powerful patriarchal men, so it was simplistic to imagine that the liberated man would simply become a woman in drag. Yet this was the model of freedom offered men by mainstream feminist thought. Men were expected to hold on to the ideas about strength and providing for others that were a part of patriarchal thought, while dropping their investment in domination and adding an investment in emotional growth. This vision of feminist masculinity was so fraught with contradictions it was impossible to realise. No wonder then that men who cared, who were open to change, often just gave up, falling back on the patriarchal masculinity they found so problematic. The individual men who did take on the mantle of a feminist notion of male liberation did so only to find that few women respected this shift. Once the new man that is the man changed by feminism was represented as a wimp, as overcooked,
few women respected this shift.
Females who were secretly longing for his macho counterpart, masses of men lost interest. So I'm very aware that I live in a bit of a bubble with this stuff. The people who I grew up with and the people who I now like to spend time with as an adult are all pretty committed to anti-patriarchal values and principles, like properly. Like most of my female friends genuinely don't want a protector or a provider. They don't want patriarchal stuff. They're not doing this halfway house thing. But like I say, I know that that's a bubble. And I know that if I just look a centimetre past the bubble, I can quite clearly see that there are a lot of women in the world who really uphold
almost all
patriarchal masculinity in overt ways and in covert ways. And a lot of these women have kind of melded this with the idea of feminism in a way that I find really annoying. Like a few years ago, I came across this idea for the first time that actually it's feminist to expect the man to pay on a date because men on average earn more than women on average, and women on average spend more on makeup and their looks and stuff, and that's why it's actually good to expect men to pay on a date. And I was really disappointed by that. I really was. I was like, oh, this is going to make feminism look bad. And it just felt so, like, unradical, you know? Like, I to be clear, I'm not a rad femme, I'm not a radical feminist, but I do think all feminism should be radical and should be pushing against the tired gender norms of the 1950s. And these ideas that I find very problematic have been really amplified by social media, and they have become very much associated with feminism, despite the fact that many of us find it quite repugnant. And this is one of the reasons why a lot of people who follow feminist values and feminist principles are actually struggling with the label of feminist. It's something I'm definitely grappling with, and I've seen that some people who I'm connected with on social media have posted videos about it. You know, basically saying like it's too hard. It's hard saying I'm a feminist and then having to go, oh, but I'm not a rad femme, and I'm not a TERF, and oh no, I'm not one of those ones that secretly actually upholds patriarchy in XYZ way. It's really difficult. There are some circles in which I would feel really confident saying I'm a feminist because I know what that word means to the people in that circle. But there are so many other circles where I know if I say I'm a feminist, it could mean 20 different things in that circle, and they're not necessarily wrong for thinking that because they're going on the internet and seeing people making these videos and getting hundreds of thousands of likes, you know? And I do think that if we're looking at like the whole of the UK, for example, that yeah, the majority of women do still cling on to patriarchal standards of masculinity. They do want this kind of half and half, you know, a modern man who's emotionally evolved, but also, you know, still having that protector and provider thing. I remember seeing a video a while ago of someone who was upset basically that every man she ever dated kind of laughed at her when she would try and invite them into softness with her. And she was kind of saying, why can't the men in my life embrace softness? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. And then she said, you know, why can't he be my protector but also be soft with me? And I really felt for her, because for me, from my perspective,
the UK Mary Poppins. Thought Mary Poppins was in the UK. The UK Mary Poppins, I said it right the first time. The UK Mary Poppins, Miss Teresa, told you, yeah, the women are full of crap, and she's not the only one. You speak about resilience. You speak about the patriarchy. Meanwhile, what the men are running into, and even though underage boys, is that when they stick their big toe out of your theory talk, they run right into the goddamn wall of, yeah, the women don't actually want that. They're turned off. The under 18, underage girls don't even want that. They're turned off. Now what? Huh? Men, you don't get to automatically lead. Okay, fine. No patriarchy. Okay, fine. No domination. Okay, fine. But we still want you to be paymaster. Wait, what? Oh, and be willing to put your life on the line. Wait, what? And help her when she feels insecure. Wait, what? Be willing to jump in front of a bullet and an aggressive dog and another man or even woman. But that doesn't automatically mean you lead. It doesn't. We're definitely not doing no patriarchy or patriarchal talk. No male domination. No, none of that. But I mean, if you want her in your presence, you got to be willing to put your life on the line and pay exorbitantly and all of that. Yeah. Huh?
The
Continuing.
boys are less prepared than the girls. They're more likely to be suspended, perform poorly on standardized tests, drop out of high school, commit crimes as juveniles, have behavioral or learning disability.
Who needs racist when you have a Miss Teresa? Uh-oh. Madam, what about the studies that show that girls and women get hit with lighter punishments when they violate rules, laws, from children all the way up through adulthood? That doesn't count for anything? Oh, I'm sorry. It gets in the way of your argument. We can't mention that. Wait, isn't that a part of the patriarchy also? Oops. Huh? Yikes. Continuing.
Have behavioral or learning disabilities. While boys in well-off families have almost the same test scores as their sisters, the gap is more than 3 times larger in most disadvantaged families. So the problem is twofold. The problem is economic, and the problem is social. Girls are socialized to deal with hardship, boys aren't. But why?
Girls are socialized to deal with hardship, boys aren't. Black and Latina women who never marry are the least wealthy in the U.S. If we're going off of what you're saying, madam, wouldn't that mean that the women would not be so least wealthy, the black women? Appreciate that Brookings Institute, that same Dr. Richard Reeves, put out the research years ago that showed 70% of black boys that were born upper middle class come back down to working class. And yet, even in that, black women have the least amount of wealth in the U.S. Black and Latina women who never marry, excuse me. Childless black women who never marry have the least amount of wealth in America, even though 70 or so % of the Black boys that are born in upper class situations come back down to working class. Black women still manage to have less wealth than that targeted group. And you can't say it's because of the black men, because we're talking about black women who never marry and are childless. So they don't have a connection to a black man. Not in that way, outside of their fathers, maybe, possibly. Uh-oh. Huh? Yikes. Continuing.
To deal with all this hardship anyway. I mean, yeah, it's great that we have a better chance of surviving it. But why should any kid have to deal with this level of hardship? So if we can solve the economic problem, if we can solve the poverty problem, boys' performance will improve and the gap will shrink. Girls generally enter kindergarten with skills suited to doing well in school, like sitting still, using a pencil, while many boys act younger, have trouble listening to adults and controlling their impulses, said Jeff Noblick, the school counselor. We do better in school than you because the skills that you need to succeed in school are skills that we have going in because we are socialized to be this way. So the problem isn't that we're disadvantaging boys or we're prioritizing girls. The problem is we're not raising boys the same way we raise girls. We're not raising boys with the same expectation and the same self-reliance that girls have. We're failing boys, but it's not the schools that are failing boys. It's the parents and the culture. And parents are a product of their culture. And not every parent can control what all the other parents are doing. So if you got 90% of people whose parents believe in, old-fashioned, gender roles and everything, you can tell your kid all you want about how.
Madam, the women believe in old-fashioned gender roles. The women believe in old-fashioned gender roles. You know how we know? Because when we send the boys and the men out there to date the girls and the women, they want right smack dab, bow, right into the wall of the old school gender roles. And the hypocrisy of trying to fit those old school gender roles with this weirdo modernity feminist crap. Oops. Huh? You know the UK Mary Poppins that I just played? What she was saying. Oops. Miss Teresa, the girls and the women want the gender role. Just want the gender role for free. With no obligations and no expectations. Z Ramen. Uh-oh. Huh? The women want the old school gender roles. There are studies that speak about women wanting to be approached. They do not want to do their approaching. They refuse to do the approaching. They won't propose. They refuse to propose. Uh-oh. Huh? Dozens and dozens and hundreds and thousands of videos of black women, Latina women, Asian women, white women. Why are the men approaching? Why aren't the men talking to me? I actually do want to be catcalled. Oops. Old school gender roles. I want a man that pays all the bills. Wait a minute. Old school gender roles. I want a man to lead. Oop. Provide. Whoa. Protect. Yikes. Old school gender roles. Yeah, madam, did women like you tell the ladies what it was going to cost them, what the equality was going to cost them? The whole freedom ain't free thing? Did y'all tell them what it was going to cost them? No? Yeah, I know. Y'all didn't say anything. Y'all hear them screaming, crying, car confessionals, and you say nothing. As a matter of fact, you tell them to redirect all of their ire towards men, in our case, black men.
Shoot the messenger. Feminism told y'all be strong, independent, and alone. And y'all followed it to the grave. Y'all pushed all the good men away, called submission slavery, and think being difficult is cute. Now y'all 35 and tired, looking around like, oh, where the good men at? Sis, they moved on. Real men want peace, not problems in a lace front and a loud voice. Feminism sold y'all freedom, but they didn't mention the price.
Feminism sold y'all freedom, but they didn't mention the price. You know, like you, Miss Teresa. Say it again. Feminism sold y'all freedom, but they didn't mention the price. The women like Miss Teresa will put out her little piece right here, her field piece. Shout out to Indigo Flow. Spawn all this feminist gobbledygook, but she refuses. She will. I'm gonna go through her channel. I'm gonna call it now, though. She will never tell the women what the price of it all is. And Trump Bentley says, correction, Z, they want men to perform old school gender roles while women are free to do whatever. Say that. Huh? Continuing. We're going to have to end this out eventually. Come on, y'all. Continuing.
Bullshit, but it's going to be a challenge for them to not pick up that ideology along the way, because that's what the rest of the world is like. Yes, boys are failing because we're failing them, but we're failing them before they even get to school. Because this data says the problem starts when they enter school. Girls have the skills because we're taught the skills. Every time I get on TikTok and I have a discussion with a guy like this, one of them once asked me and other women on the panel saying, well, if you think, you know, how we raise kids is so wrong, how would you raise boys? And I just said, and every other woman on the panel said, just raise boys the same way we raise girls. And this advice is what Richard Reeves is saying the problem is. We treat boys as though they're defective girls. And all these solutions are, well, just boys should be more like girls. Yeah. They should be more like girls, as in ready to start school when they're starting school. But apparently that's feminizing them, and that's bad.
Nice framing, madam. No, no, nope, nope. We can't raise boys the way we raise girls. Because if we raise boys the way we raise girls, the girls won't want. Wait a minute. Huh. If we raise boys the way we raise girls, and yet boys and men are 20% stronger than girls and women, which country was it? Was it Norway? Where men are knocking women on their ass because they're raising the girls the way they raise the boys, and they're raising the boys the way they raise the girls. You know, emotional boys and roguish ass girls who become women and run up on men like they're men and get their head knocked clean off their shoulders. Raise the boys the way we raise the girls, right? Thank you, Gilgami. Norway and Sweden. Somebody put the link in the chat for Miss Teresa, please. When they started mentioning, was it you? I think Pastor G might have covered it. Who covered it? When they showed the clip of them raising the girls to be brash and to be, you know, out there and run and rough play and shout, and they're raising the boys to be more expressive and say your feelings, and you know. And what happens when those boys are no longer 5? What happened when those boys are now men and they're 25? Oops. Saint Cyr says, I think that was specific to I think that was Finland, to be specific. Okay. It sounds nice, ma'am, to raise your boys the way we raise girls, but we don't raise girls to keep their hands to themselves. What happens when we raise boys not to keep their hands to themselves? Madam, unidirectional violence is initiated by women more than men. Oops. Huh? Unidirectional violence is initiated by women more than men. Bidirectional violence is initiated more by women than men. It's just that men have more force. What happens when you don't even get to hit first? You just get hit as a woman by a full-grown ass man. Oops. You sure you want to raise the girls the way you raise the boys? Excuse me. You sure you want to raise the boys the way you raise the girls? Are you sure about that? Are you sure you want to raise the boys the way you raise the girls? Yet the consequences for the boys is much harsher than the girls. Prison shows that. We have judges that say, yeah, I got to let you go because we don't have enough space in female prisons for the girls, for the women. But you want to raise the boys the way you raise the girls? You want to raise the boys the way you raise the girls, but we don't even have enough space in female prisons for when women violate. How is this supposed to work? Uh-huh. What you just said sound nice. That sound nice in feminist theory until you see what it looked like in the real world with adults. Raise the boys the way we raise the girls, and yet the girls initiate violence more with boys. The women initiate more violence, or initiate physical violence more than the men. You want to raise that? That sound nice. KMS, I ain't gonna read your comments out loud. They're killing me right now. Again. Tiger uppercut. Huh? I'm pretty sure I didn't mean that. No. We're gonna go with what you said. You said raise the boys the way we raise the girls. What you didn't appreciate is that the women initiate domestic violence. Well, Mr. Z said it so well. There go my green dollar sign for those of you that don't know. All of you that know YouTube Studios, yeah, Mr. Z said didn't say DV, we said domestic violence, so we just gotta own it now. So yeah, women initiate domestic violence, ma'am. Uh-oh. See, you didn't think about that. All that sound nice, man. All this feminist theory sound nice. Until you see what it looked like in the wash. Continuing.
School when they're starting school. But apparently that's feminizing them and that's bad. Teaching them how to read. Apparently reading is gay. Boys get a message from a very young age to be a man. And to be a man means you're strong and you don't cry and you don't show emotions, he said. This is the school counselor talking. I see boys suffering because of that. And a lot of that comes out of aggressive behavior. Gender roles. Gender roles are the problem. But these guys are out here like, oh, we need to give them more examples of masculinity. How about some male teachers? More examples.
Yes, ma'am, gender roles. You know who wants gender roles? Grown-ass women who aren't gender warring. Oops. Go ask your average woman. Go, man on the street, ask your average woman. Oh, and make sure to tell her what doesn't come with men performing manhood. Pulling those chairs out, opening those doors, lifting the heavy stuff. See you struggling to lift something up the stairs at the apartment, helping you with that. Yeah, all of that out the window. Huh? Gender roles, ma'am. Paying for first dates and second and third. Gender roles, ma'am. Huh? Gender roles. Melvin and you through the house. Yeah, you said that, Z. I said it. Gender roles. Uh-oh. Yes, ma'am. Gender roles. You know who wants gender roles? Women. At least they want the part of the gender roles that they get to pick out and they like. Yes, gender roles. Absolutely. To everyday women, I want you to appreciate, to everyday black women, I want you to appreciate the Miss Teresas are the women speaking for you. To all the girls and women that are dating and they're meeting these wayward men that they feel don't know what role they're supposed to play, appreciate that he was raised by and taught by women like Miss Teresa. Because ill gender roles. Huh? Shout out to all the women. Y'all said y'all want equality. The men and the boys are showing you that. You're like, oh, he don't know what role he's supposed to play. He not no quote unquote real man. Well, Miss Teresa. Yes, Miss Teresa. Gender roles. You know what dries up your average woman's vagina more than a man not playing his gender roles? Women that believe you and don't play his role. Uh-oh. Continuing.
The last fucking thing these poor kids need. What they need is socialization that is more suited to the things that they're going to need to do. The solution is we need to raise our boys to be just as resilient as we raise our girls.
But the girls aren't as resilient as you say, number one. You say raise them to do what they're going to need to do or something they're about. Yeah. Like be a father. Potentially, possibly a husband. A husband, and you're a husband because your girlfriend that became your wife wasn't turned off by you because you knew how to play your goddamn role. Huh? Gender roles, madam. Yes, you're absolutely right. And you know what happens when you don't play your role? When you tear up that social contract?
You will put other people in this organization at risk, and that organization does not want to take that risk. So you do not have this job anymore if you decline it. With any public health decision, there has to be a consequence to you not participating in that social contract.
It's all there, black and white, clear as crystal. You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
You don't have to play the role, madam. But once again,
it's all there, black and white, clear as crystal. You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
Gender roles. Continuing.
You raise girls. That's the solution. So as it turns out, the New York Times, teachers, child psychologists who work in schools, and NPR agree with me. So I'm thinking I might have been right about this. I'm sorry, bro. Thanks for listening to this episode.
That took 3 hours, everyone. Jesus. They agree with you. You mean elite rich white folks, many of them married to other elite rich white folks, agree with you? What about the masses of working class black folks? Uh-oh. Even the masses of working class white folks, Latinos, if they read that article, would they think that it's a bunch of hogwash? What do working class black women have to say about it? Uh-oh. Sounds like another BS luxury belief, madam. We'll just raise the boys exactly how we raise the girls. Raise them the same way. Wait a minute. Isn't that what we've been doing? Huh? Yikes. El's Active says, I just got off the motorway. We need another 3 hours. Yeah, I don't know about all that. I got some super chats to read, though, going all the way back hours ago. Shout out to everybody. And thank God I didn't reload this because I think it would have erased it. So let me hurry up and get to these before we can't even read them anymore. Wait a minute. And the first one was from Chef Butter Biscuits. Damn near almost 2 hours ago, an hour and a half ago. And Chef Butter Biscuit says, and thank you for the super chat. Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Chef Butter Biscuit says, a quick aside, that skinny black woman you've played that says black men don't like us, notice her specific critique of black women being big backs, weave, and bigger eyelashes. She's mad that she's built the way white men like it and still losing. Ooh, say that. Yeah, and you know what? I don't find her unattractive. She's straight. She alright. Y'all realize we got like a bunch of alright black women who are like mad at the world that they're not rich white women? Huh? And Chef Butter Biscuits, let me do you a solid. Let me do you a solid. What can I take off of this so that we can, as a matter of fact, you know what? I can take the podcast off. Give me a second,
Sorry, bro.
yo. Okay, I deleted that. Let me do Chef Butter Biscuits a solid. Here we go. Nope, that's the wrong one. Here we go. I'm gonna do Chef Butter Biscuits a solid because he waited an hour and a half for this to get read. So and once again, Chef Butter Biscuits is a quick aside. That skinny black woman you've played that says black women don't like black women. Should be black women. A quick aside, that black woman you've played that says black men don't like black women. Notice her specific critique of black women being big backs, weave, and bigger eyelashes. She's mad that she's built the way white men like it, and she's still losing. And is the video ready? It's still not ready yet. See, I thought I did something right there. Chef Butter Biscuits, I was gonna read it and we're gonna slide right through to the video, and it's still not ready. Y'all give it a minute. But yeah, yeah, I could see it. I could see it. Right? And the difference between men and women is when men are bitter, when men are still holding on to high school rejection, right? When men for the men that do that, everybody calls that out. Everybody calls that out. We have terms. We have the INC. Well, I'm already not gonna get it. So we have incel, right? And incel was supposed to mean something very specific. It doesn't even mean that anymore. We just throw that around at any man that we think is a loser, and the reason he's speaking about women and relationships the way he is because he don't get no vagina. We insult men with terms like Samuelites, or you one of them Kevin Samuels type dudes. We have pejoratives and insults for men that we think don't cut the mustard. But loser women, whether educated or not, awkward women, whether educated or not, whether they have resources or not, women who are not getting from the dating scene, from the quote unquote marriage market, what they think and feel they deserve, and are throwing temper tantrums about it, we don't call them the losers that they are. Maybe we do in the black manosphere, but outside of the black manosphere, we don't call bitter Betties. Huh? We let them spew their rhetoric and then we take it at face value. Maybe the black manosphere doesn't. So it is what you're saying, Chef Butter Biscuits, and here you go.
Black women, I'm going to hold your hand when I say this, okay? Black men don't like us. They don't like you. They don't like me. It's just what it is. And you have to accept the reality of that. And what you decide to do with that information is on you. Do you think that a man that liked you would see you working 40, 50, 60 hours a week, coming home working, taking care of kids, going to school, getting a degree, paying bills? They don't like us. They see us as workhorses, mules, the backbone. I don't want to be a man's backbone. I want to be his helpmate. I can't help you pay no bills. I'm not doing any of that. I'm not doing it. You think that he cares about you? He tolerates you. And the reason that he tolerates you is because what you can do for him, which is help him pay those bills. You're working 2 or 3 jobs and he's working 1. He don't like you. I know that they don't like me, which is why I open my options. But they don't like us. You need to get that through your head. Black women are seen generally in society as a pillar of strength, as being resilient, as being independent. Women of other races and cultures are not seen that way. They're seen as soft, fragile, and delicate. Do you think that a man that sees you as a pillar of strength is going to cherish you? Think about that. They don't like us. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but they don't like us. And I know that there's going to be a social justice warrior or a big back Barbara the Builder that's going to come on here trying to debate with me. I'm not here to debate or argue with you. You can argue with your beauty supply wig and your lamb chop eyelashes. Black men don't like us. They don't like you. They don't like me. They don't like us.
And once again, thank you for the super chat, Chef Butter Biscuits. And clearly you're correct, because you heard what she said, especially those last few statements at the end of her statement. Yeah. So appreciate we're in the era now, which is some weirdo stuff, where the swirlers, divestors, black women in luxury, black women level up, weirdos are just sound anti-black. This is why we have terms like decolonize your mind. At the foundation of America, of the West, of maybe even planet Earth in the modern sense, is anti-blackness. Black people even get taught anti-blackness. I would like to direct y'all to that video of the African dude, damn, they're bowing and scraping to the white folks. Y'all saved Africa, and Africa would be nothing without y'all. And he's walking and damn, they're chasing them, kissing their ass. Anti-blackness is at the foundation of the West and of modern society. So when black people say, right, decolonize your mind, that statement is perfectly apropos. So you will have black people, black women, using terms like pick me as a pejorative to other black women. And when they get frustrated, they will use all the sexist rhetoric, all the anti-black rhetoric, all the white supremacist rhetoric towards black men and other black women who they think aren't well standing with them. Huh? She's telling you black men don't like us. And for all of you black women who are going to disagree with me, F you, middle finger, you big back, big eyelashes, that. All that energy for black women who would disagree with her. You've seen this from Sovereign Woman. You've seen this from Chrissy. You've seen this from Paris Milan. Black women who say, if you as another black woman don't agree with me that black men are the worst thing to ever crawl out the slime, then, well, name your anti-black racist, white supremacist pejorative. Once again, Chef Butter Biscuits, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat. And Eurydice says, salute Z, salute brother. I just finished my citrus marmalade for the steak and chicken. I don't know if I should prep some shrimp to appreciate the stream. Listen, y'all, shout out to Tunnel Runner. Shout out to Chef Mike's round table, or is it table? All of you brothers that be bragging on your food. Marinade, Mr. Z don't know what I was trying. I was trying to say marmalade. I don't know. Passes, people, passes. Y'all be bragging about y'all food and making Z hungry, right? And y'all cooking skills and what y'all eating. And if y'all lady cooked for y'all, look, Miss Z be cooking for me, but Mr. Z barely be home like that, right? Talking about that. Damn, I don't got no time to text. Okay, but yeah, look, I be hating. And shout out to Eurydice, man. Look, enjoy your meal, even though I'm responding to you, give or take an hour and a half-ish later. My apologies. Enjoy your meal, and I'm hating, and hashtag your number one hater. I would tell you I hope you choke, but I actually don't hope you choke. That would be a joke, but it could happen, so I ain't gonna say it, but I already did. And Eurydice, shout out to the brother Eurydice. And Gracious, the Gregorious one, I don't know why I wanted to say gracious. Gregorious says, greetings from across the pond, Z and chat. So we're the less resilient ones, and they're the ones using doublespeak. Say what you mean, ma'am. Yeah, look, another bitter Betty, feminist. And as I've said before, they hate men more than they love women. They want to spite men. They want to see men hurt. What they don't appreciate is that men and women are tied by the hip. What they don't appreciate is the majority of women are heterosexual, and the majority of women will be heterosexual, including black women, right? So your antagonism, all you're doing is throwing salt in the game and making the partnership between men and women more difficult. All you're doing is harming women, and because you're a black woman, harming black women. And trust, black women don't need anyone else getting in the way of them being partnered to black men, because it's costing them, like literally financially costing them. We're not even mentioning spiritually, emotionally, mentally, or giggity, physically. No. So you're gonna have these type of folks, they hide behind some type of academic accomplishment, 3 and 4, maybe 5 syllable words, right? Their success in life, or at least financial success. And they jab at men, black men in specific, and speak like they're above it, but they're not. If you saw the look on this lady's face as she spoke, it's similar to when you see Kim Foster speak about things concerning men, particularly black men. The smug. And I'm not just saying that just to say it as if a woman can't speak and be expressive and everything she says is smug. No, the smug because it's funny to her. It's the boys are struggling. That's what the men get. Huh? And yes, they see the boys as a casualty of war with the men. Raise them to bow to us. I'm sorry. Raise them the way you raise the girls. Huh? Yikes. It's not raise them the way you raise the girls for real. It's raise them to bow to us. So yeah, she's gonna mention resilience. The same word FD mentioned, the same word Kim Foster mentioned. All them weirdo lefties over there meant resilience. The women are so resilient, or was the thumb on the scale for them? And we watching JD Vance and them pull that goddamn thumb right off the scale. And what's happening to black women right now? Uh-oh. Huh? What's happening to black women right now?
Now, where staggering numbers have been released surrounding black women in the labor force. A new report shows more than 300,000 black women have left the workforce in just the last several months. That's according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. Joining me now is gender economist Katika Roy to break this all down and why they're leaving. Katika, thank you so much for being with us. You recently wrote an article where you say that this isn't happening by accident. Why do you think it is happening?
This is happening because of cuts to public sector positions. So if you look at the federal labor force, black women make up just over 12% of the federal labor force. It's about double their representation in the labor force overall. And when you have targeted cuts up to 50% in organizations such as the Department of Education and HHS, you're not just trimming the fat, you're actually cutting the economic backbone for black women.
Wow. And so what are some of the spillover effects from all of this?
Well, one of the things that we know is that there is a connection between women's labor force participation and GDP. So just black women's labor force participation has dropped by just over 2% in the last 3 months. And that has sucked over $37 billion out of US GDP. So this is
You think, did y'all learn nothing? Wait, aren't these the same type of black women that were laughing and mocking black men when we found out that locking up black men or black men being quote unquote left behind by this society has cost America $50 billion? And do y'all recall what Mr. Z said that night when I covered that? The US will spend tens of billions, possibly hundreds of billions, to make sure that black men do not challenge their sons, their white sons. $50 billion ain't no money for them. You think $37 billion is money for the US government to make sure that as they're slashing jobs, some of their white women can maintain their position? as they knock black women off? You think 37, you're dealing with a country with a GDP of what? Close to $30 trillion? 25, $27 trillion? You think 37 billion? You think they won't eat that? Resilience? Okay, Miss Teresa. Huh? And gregariousness, once again, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat. Let's make sure. Let's okay, mess is all the way up there somewhere. Wait a minute. And you'll give us a second. I think that was KMS. Yep. And he says, Happy Labor Day to the most laboring in the ninja in the spirit. Am I? Yeah, you know, y'all regularly get like multi-hour long shoots. This is clearly past 3 hours, and we still got a little ways to go. Right. And thank you for the super chat. Yeah, look, talking about Labor Day. Right. And I actually was gonna go down that road when I first started the stream, but got sidetracked and then went into, you know, reviewing this weirdo lady. It's, you know, to think that across the world, particularly obviously the West, in the late 19th century, mid and late 19th century, folks had to fight and die for rights at the workplace, right? 6 days a week of work, number one, 12 plus hours a day. Children as young as 7 and 8 and 10 years old in the labor force. Men, women, and children, but particularly children and men, boys and men, being deleted by machinery, right? On accident, workplace accidents all over the place, deleting men and boys. To think that men and boys came from that. And we got weirdo women like Miss Teresa that's pretty much saying the boys and the men aren't resilient. The boys aren't resilient. Huh? The boys and the men aren't resilient. You have a weekend, ma'am, because of the boys and the men. The ceiling at your workplace isn't falling on your head because of the boys and the men. You have AC, madam, because of the boys and the men. Your car doesn't miraculously explode on you because of the boys and the men. Huh? Consider that Miss Teresa mocks the boys and the men, while the boys and the men are the reasons why a Jeff Bezos can't just do whatever the hell he want to do with her and to her. Huh? Elon Musk can't just do whatever he want to do to her. He got to go through Trump. He got to get Trump elected. Then he got to get appointed to a temporary position, and then he could start taking heads off. All of that is because of mainly the boys and the men. Because elite men ain't scared of women like you, nor will they ever be. You know, because women like you do their bidding. You're in the way with your fake ass, resilient ass. Huh? Madam, resilience You know, like Chris Small's resilience? Ooh. Eugene Deb resilience? Yikes. Medgar Evers resilience? Oh. Martin Luther King resilience? Malcolm X resilience? Fred Hampton resilience? You mean that type of resilience? Huh? Resilience. As KMS says, happy Labor Day to the most laboring ninja in the sphere. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Think of all the men, particularly, that were deleted in this country fighting for labor rights, fighting for workers' rights. Think of the men that were jailed fighting for labor rights and workers' rights, not just for them, but for the women and children also. But disproportionately, the people that were imprisoned and that were murdered were men by far. And someone like Miss Teresa could sit back in the 21st century in her AC building or home or wherever she is and talk about the boys not being resilient. When we had 10-year-old boys climbing in and out of chimneys. Yeah? Our great-great-grandfathers were working at 12 years old and 10 years old and maybe even younger. And she turns around and says to us that the boys aren't resilient. Boys were dropping out of school to pay for their sister's education. Yeah. KMS, thank you for the super chat. Right? And KMS says, never forget, Snow White is a cautionary tale of all hoes poisoning the future of young women to stay competitive. Who's still the fairest? Mirror, mirror on the wall, right? Women are selfish, spiteful as creatures. I said it. No, they are. And when you listen to someone like a Miss Teresa speak, and she gets her 5 chuckles in, not even simply at the expense of the men. Do y'all appreciate what Mr. Z is saying? How often do we see anyone from the black manosphere go in on girls, black girls even, laugh at the misfortune of not black women, but black girls, underage minors, and do that and dance on the misfortune of black girls so that we could spite black grown adult women? How often do you see someone in the black manosphere do that? When do you see someone in the black manosphere do that? And yet we have this woman who's calling Dr. Richard Reeves a misogynistic asshole, who's laughing and mocking and making fun of and being smug towards this misfortune of boys, not just the black boys, but of boys to spite adult grown men. Who's still the fairest? Mirror, mirror on the wall. She dances on the misfortune of the boys. Meanwhile, girls are going to become women one day. And what are those girls supposed to do at 27, 28, 30, 32 years old? Romantic life. What romantic life? Ooh. Huh? Children. What children? Dating life. What dating life? Huh? Take this pipe. I'm going to throw $10 in your face and get the hell out of here. Ooh, goddamn, Z. See, this ain't natural Z. You don't be speaking like that. I'm just saying. No? And KMS, thank you for the super chat once again. No placeholder says, if they don't have jobs, who will waste money? Apparently you, no placeholder. Somebody got to pay for these hoes. Shout out to Black Guru. Huh? Someone has to pay for them. See, when you listen to someone like Miss Teresa, as educated as she might be, the short-sightedness and the myopia keeps her from appreciating that men and women are attached by the hip. So as you dance on the misfortune of the boys, what you don't appreciate is that most women ain't trying to get munched on or munch on other women. So what are they supposed to do when they're 27, 28, 29, 30 years old? Huh? Travel and invest in your friends and decenter men. Of course, that y'all assholes have nothing else to tell the women, because you won't tell them, hey, look, the cost of my gender war is that you're going to be 30 years old with no man. I came so close to dropping that F-bomb, y'all. Woof. You're going to be 30 years old with no man. You're going to be 35 years old with no man. You're going to be 38 years old with no man. You're going to be 42 years old with no man. Yeah, you might get piped here and there. You might have a little situationship here and there. But long-term relationship? Probably not. Husband? Definitely not. Kids? Maybe not. Huh? So no placeholder. If they don't have jobs, who will waste the money? The goal was supposed to be you, but maybe not, because she won't be in a situationship with you. She won't be in a relationship with you. She definitely won't be married to you, and y'all might not have any kids. So money for what? See, all that talk from Miss Teresa, that sound nice until you remember, wait a minute, men earn more than women. Black men earn more than women. Uh-oh. Not only do men earn more than women and men earn more than women, black men have more wealth than women. So it's not just the income, the actual wealth also. Well, damn. And an increasing amount of black men are marrying outside the race. So that will mean more of a dearth of wealth for black women. Miss Teresa, you can mock these men and dance on the misfortune of their sons because that's how you think and that's how you feel. You're making fun of and mocking the boys because the boys in your mind are just the sons of the men, the black men in particular. So F them little Negroes. Okay, fine. And your daughters, black girls and women, are going to feel that. Ain't no one coming to help them and save them. Ain't no rich white daddy coming to help them and save them. You will not be Miss Cartwright, madam. No placeholder. Thank you for the super chat. And Cam says, continued. Every man I've met in my youth told me the same thing in essence. Learn from my mistakes. Be better than me. These old hoes be serving young women loser shots with a failure chaser. That's funny. No, for real though. That's funny, but it's true. It's funny, but it's true. Educated losers, not educated losers, light-skinned losers, dark-skinned losers, slim losers, heavy-set losers, brown losers. Huh? Losers on the East Coast, the West Coast, Midwest, Pacific Northwest, down south. Huh? A bunch of black women losers selling other, younger, more impressionable black women and girls loserdom. Painted in the language of empowerment and liberation. And definitely autonomy. Music to black women's ears. Being their authentic self. and taking up space. Huh? And that's why Mr. Z spams this, because no one tells them what the cost of their freedom or the price of their freedom. No one tells them that your freedom cost, and it's going to cost you a man and stability for the masses of you. Uh-oh.
Shoot the messenger. Feminism told y'all be strong, independent, and alone. And y'all followed it to the grave. Y'all pushed all the good men away, called submission slavery, and think being difficult is cute. Now y'all 35 and tired, looking around like, oh, where the good men at? Sis, they moved on. Real men want peace, not problems in a lace front and a loud voice. Feminism sold y'all freedom, but they didn't mention the price.
Hmm? And Camus also says, bread or buns, no more a real man what no more spells. He didn't even finish with a real man what no more spells, right? And that's all they're doing, casting a spell to hope that these men become insecure. But in reality, the women are the ones with a lack of security. That's all that is. The young men are showing you through action. I had this conversation with a coworker the other day. ADOS brother straight up told you most of my cousins, all the ones that's 28 and younger, they're with Latinas. Welcome to South Florida. Huh? So Miss Teresa could spew all her nonsense all she want. That's literally costing black women not simply companionship, but stability. It is a war. Every black man that dates and marries out is subsidizing another non-black woman. That's one more man that black women don't get to choose from, that they got to try to make up for with a non-black man or, oops, another woman. Huh? Yikes. And once again, KMS, thank you for the super chat. And that cost them. So while Miss Teresa is doing her whole mocking and making fun of and getting her 5 chuckles in at the expense of your everyday average man, or black man in specific, that is literally costing black women. If currently the marriage rate for black men is some 36% and it's some 29-28% for black women, 36% for black men, 38-39%. Sorry, I said that wrong. 36% for black men, 29-28% for black women, and it's increasing for black men because black men are increasingly marrying out. As Mr. Z has said, as everyone from Kevin Samuels has said, as Accountable Commentary has said, as BGS has said, etc., etc., you're going to watch black women freeze. Even for those of us in sunnier climates. Texas, definitely South Texas. Florida, definitely South Florida. SoCal. Huh? Arizona, Nevada. You're going to watch black women freeze. New Mexico, you're going to watch black women freeze. Louisiana, Mississippi, Swamp Town, you still gonna watch them freeze. They're gonna be freezing in the swamp. That's it. And they're gonna be listening to the Miss Fosters, the Chrissy still, the Miss Teresa. They're gonna be listening to Sovereign Woman and all of them, Divested Zealot and all those. They're gonna still be listening to them. If Cynthia G's on PayPal, whatever the hell Cynthia G is, they're gonna be still listening to that. If they got internet connection, that is. Oops. Huh? Yikes. And I know there was another one. There we go. And Eric Denman says her arguments fall apart. And thank you for the super chat. Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Her arguments fall apart with boys only schools. Yeah, look, boy only schools. Even if you have a couple of female teachers, but women teachers that care about the boys, and you have obviously predominantly male teachers who get to teach the boys like they're boys. The female teachers that have a vested interest in the boys, that teach the boys, wait for it, not a Genzi, like their boys. Yeah, you're right. That obliterates her argument. It's done. But for her, it's about the power. That's why she said, no, raise them, teach them the way we teach the girls. I don't care how disadvantaged they are. It's power. Teach them the way we teach the girls so that the girls can naturally rise up, so that the boys are subservient to the girls in the future. Madam, you're black. You're a black woman. How exactly has that worked for black women? Wait a minute. Our nephews are just coming in. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What you said, Junior? Wait, what? Wait, what? Tell Miss Teresa you ain't coming back. Wait, what? You out with Consuela? Oh, you ain't coming back. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, Miss Teresa. It don't look like it's working very well because our sons, the young men, our nephews and our guy cousins, the young ones, the ones under the age of 30. Yeah, they dating them white girls and them Latinas at an alarming rate. Yeah, yeah, they marrying them too. See, it's not just interracial sex. Yeah. Uh-oh. So if it didn't work in the black community, you want to scale that out and you think this is going to work because you think the white boys is going to stay? Oh, okay. Uh-huh. Oh, and the largest interracial marriage rate, it's between white men and the Latinas, but it's mainly white Latinas. But when you factor in just race, it's white men and Asian women. I wonder why. So you want to scale what didn't work in the black community out. Okay, yeah. Hmm? Smart, not. Huh? Yikes. And Eric Denman, once again, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat. And KMS says, all this just reinforces how lazy these effing broads are. Do your job, men, and our job too. Modern lazy assholes. Look, it really is. I think the thing for me is these are not just like uneducated, like, some of the negative stereotypes, just kind of bummy women. These are well-spoken, educated women. Some of them are doing well financially in life, and yet they speak like this. And I think this is why I call it a luxury of belief, because it sounds good in theory. It actually doesn't sound good, but it sounds good in theory, right? And when you consider that your everyday woman has to live with this, and you watch your everyday woman, black women, struggle, no marriage, no relationship, no kids. I mean, we have women well into their mid-30s. They got them a cool job. Okay, cool. They got them a cool job, 40 some odd, 50 some odd $1,000 a year. Cool job, right? No man, no prospects. No man and no prospects. If she lucky, she got a little situationship. He come through once, twice a week, knock the cobwebs out. That's if she have her own place or if she got a roommate. He's not sliding through the parents' house, even in her mid-30s. So that means she got to slide to his spot. What that drive back home feel like? Ooh, god damn. Okay, fine. They get a telly. What that drive back home feel like? At least it feel a little bit smidge better than leaving his spot. Maybe, possibly, probably not. Huh? Yikes. The broads are lazy because the society has allowed them to be, encouraged them to be, and get the money from the men anyway. And much of the reason why the women are struggling financially, particularly black women, it's because they're not getting married. And that's okay. I want to be very clear. Mr. Z does believe in marriage to the right women. Unfortunately, the black community, if America doesn't produce wives, America produces husbands and roguish ass people that look like women. Goddamn. Damn, Z, you said that. I said it. They're lazy because they don't want to play their role. You don't have to play your role, but you don't get the money for playing your role either. You don't, excuse me, you don't have to play your role. You just will get subsidized. Shout out to Coach Greg Adams. And that's you. And there you go. Once again, KMS, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat. You don't have to play your role. Ladies, you don't. Just deal with and eat everything that comes with, well, you not playing your role. Yeah. KMS also says, and thank you for the super chat, these big backs love bread rolls, sushi rolls, egg rolls, spring rolls. I think I know you're going. Summer rolls, cake rolls, sweet rolls, yet can't stomach gender rolls. I thought you was going to mention something like stomach rolls. I got close. He said, but can't stomach gender rolls, right? I thought he was going to mention like body rolls or stomach rolls or something like that. Rolls of fat, something like that, right? I wasn't too far. But he said, yet can't stomach gender roles. Nah, it's too constraining. Remember what I keep on saying about negative liberty? Gender roles is too constraining. And what what Miss Teresa doesn't appreciate is, as much as these lefties in particular and these elites talk and these academics talk, what they found out is that the further up you go, the more they play and participate in gender roles. So they can advocate and speak however they want to, but they play in their role. Huh? Even FD admitted his relationship is pretty goddamn traditional. Huh? I heard FD speak to his sons. He ain't no pushover. He's not raising his sons the way we raise girls. You better believe it. Huh? Foreign, I think Foreign got 2 kids now. I think Foreign has a son. You think Foreign man in a foreign land, Bahamian Foreign man in a foreign land, go raise his son like how we raise girls? Yeah, right. Conscious Lee got a son too, if I'm not mistaken. I'll be damned. You think Conscious Lee gonna raise his son the way we raise girls? Man, y'all better stop playing. Stop playing. Those men could talk however they talk. I'll be damned if they raise their sons the way we raise girls. Yeah, that's it. Oh, that sound nice. Well, and once again, KMS says, and thank you for the super chat, these big backs love bread rolls, sushi rolls, egg rolls, spring rolls, summer rolls, cake rolls, sweet rolls. It's hysterical. Yet can't stomach gender rolls. Huh? And I think Juicy got a son too, right? I think Juicy's kid is a son. I think it's a boy. You think Juicy gonna raise? I put money Juicy not gonna raise her son the way we raise girls. None of them. Even Kim Foster said, if I have a son, I'm gonna put him in Kumon and I'm gonna do this. Yeah. Huh? All that sound good in theory. None of them are raising their boys the way they raise girls. The ones that have 2 kids, a boy and a girl, they're not raising them the same. I think consciously got 2 kids. I think it's a boy and a girl. I'll put money he ain't raising his son exactly how he raised his daughter. All that crap coming from Miss Teresa, that's a bunch of crap. That sound good. All that sound good. Miss Teresa, have a black son. Raise him how you raise your girls and see if he don't come out LGBTQ. God damn, Z, you said that out loud. I meant it. I dare you to have a son and try to raise him to raise you the way you raise girls. He don't get his head clean, knock the hell. Z. Anyway. Huh? You raise your son the way you raise girls, and them girls gonna be bullying your son. It won't even be the boys, some of the boys. The girls are gonna be bullying your son, ma'am. All that theory sound like luxury beliefs. All that theory sound nice. We didn't raise our sons the way we raised the girls. You gonna send your son to school acting like a girl, and the girls are gonna bully him. If he LGBTQ, maybe not. If he's supposedly straight, acting like a girl, the girls are gonna bully him. Put money on it. Dumbass. All that sound nice. We didn't raise the boys the way we raised the girl. Shut the hell up. No wonder so many. Stop it, Z. No wonder so many of these brothers coming out of these single mother households be LGBTQ like a mug. Oops, goddamn, I said it. Continuing. Afro Merchant says, Labor Day to the brothers. Hashtag we all we got. Clearly, because if your son is in class with a Miss Teresa, Lord have mercy on his soul. Huh? Because that lady right there, we raised the boys the way we raised the girls. You mean kind of like we already do? Dumbass. Look, ma'am, you being able to speak well don't mean nothing to Z. You mean kind of how we already do? Come on, man. And Elle says, if Bowser had a son and got into a fight, she would show up for the second round at the park ready to scrap. I think so. I think you're right. I think you're right. I think you're right. I'm reading through some of your comments right now. Yikes. And Afro Merchant says the only way women can out earn men is by the government subsidizing them, and that's exactly how 318,000 of black women are out of work. So yes, and I don't see that as the worst thing in the world. The government is supposed to be the employer of last resort, and we're black. And if America still be on some anti-black stuff, the private sector still block us out. Nobody's giving us loans to start these quote unquote businesses so we can be entrepreneurs. Yeah, that's the government's job. Literally, that's the government's job. To Mr. Z, that's not the worst thing in the world that black women were working for local, state, federal government, any one of your, local municipalities and whatnot. That's not the end of the world. It's the way they're speaking, as if you're not getting a lookout. Oops. That doesn't mean you don't have to be some type of qualified and some type of capable. Z, you still there? I'm still there. Anyway, that's not the end of the world for Z. That's their job. With that, when you start talking crap to black men, particularly black men who might not have gotten the lookout, when you start talking to black men, because black men can't use intersectionality, the way black women do to get these jobs, when you start looking down your nose at black men, when the federal government start shedding jobs when the private sector takes cue and says, you know what, I might do similar. And it kicks black women right in the gonads. Black women don't have gonads. They think they do. Anyway, right in the gonads. Well, is Mr. Z celebrating? No. Do I sound like Mr. Teresa? No. With that, if you see black men say, well, you know, sucks to be you, moving along, then so be it. Women like you celebrated watching men suffer, black men suffer. So we may not return that same energy and celebrate watching you suffer, but we won't do is shed a tear for it. And you're an outlier anyway. You probably straight anyway. Your sister, on the other hand, huh? Yikes. I'm just reading through you guys' comments. Give me a second. Joe says she will delete her channel when the other women come after her ass. Look, I do think there are folks that are going to have to start moonwalking. Some of these women are going to start moonwalking. I agree with you. Some of them are start taking their channel down. Some of them are going to pivot to more political content or pop culture-ish content. That way they don't get hit upside the head. They still gonna get hit because if they don't delete their old content, it's just or put it behind members only or put it on Patreon or something like that, put it behind a paywall, they're still gonna get hit. And I think that's what's gonna happen. I think what's gonna happen is they're gonna pivot, they'll put all this type of incendiary, antagonistic content behind a paywall, and that's that. I agree with you, Joe. Right. I agree. I think some of these folks they're gonna have to pivot. Right. Huh. I'm reading through your comments. Reading. Joe said resilient for ungrateful women. F out of here, for real. Hard Buck says they will all serve us coffee in the worst possible way. Oh, man. Telescope says, my father-in-law used to deliver mail on horseback. No lie. He's a retired surgeon now. Yep. Yep. Reading through you guys' comment. Joe says, no wonder there's no passport bros to America. You know, there was I did watch the clip of I want to say it was a white dude that did one of those man on the street interviews, and he was questioning a white woman about that. Like, why are men going overseas looking for wives, but there aren't men overseas coming to America looking for wives? And you could see she registered that question. She understood why, and she was like, oh, because, you know, women over here, and I think she said, we know our worth and we're powerful and da. And she said some BS, you know, female empowerment ass answer, and with a kind of like smug look, like you ain't gonna catch me up that easily. And I give her that. It was funny because you could see the look on her face, like, I ain't gonna fall for that easy, right? Shout out to that white lady. For anyone else that's seen that clip, and I'm like, bro, everybody know what it is. Everyone knows what it is. They're insufferable, spoiled brats in grown women's bodies. They're materialistic, consumerist assholes, and they're insanely expensive. Huh? They're insanely expensive. There's not going to be no passport bros to America. What? Before we even get to their crap-ass personality and attitudes. Okay, some of them are educated. Some of them clearly are very, very attractive, physically attractive. Before we get to any of that, number one, they're too expensive. Number two, you don't want to spend. And number three, that's if you even got it to spend. The worst. Huh. Reading through you guys' comments. That's funny. And Telescope says the N wars, N wars, the N wars, incels versus ingrates. Oh man. Hey, Telescope. Some of them sisters are both though. I guess it wouldn't be incels, it would be femcells. Some of them are both. They femcells and ingrates. They incels and ingrates. Huh? Hey, Lion, I do this all the time. And Lion says, most of these women have never worked in 90-degree weather on 3 hours of sleep, but want to talk about resilience. Bruh, y'all, ding, 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 Z. Look, Miss Z be looking at, bruh, she really be worried about me. Like, wait a minute, you ain't going to sleep yet? Right? Especially some of those streams I do late night, right? I ain't going to incriminate myself, but you already know. So, yeah. They couldn't hack it, man. How many, wait, out of all the content creator women you could think of on YouTube, Mr. Z gonna be braggadocious for a minute. Who would be able to pull 80 some odd hours plus a 2-hour stream, maybe 3 or 4 times a week? Maybe 5 times a week. Oh, and you actually got the work done too. You just weren't sitting on the clock. Not it might have been times that you were sitting on the clock, but the work got done. At the end, the work was done. When your peoples came in the next day, you ain't get no write-up or no phone call or no nothing. Magic, everyone, magic. Mr. Z ain't saying nothing else. Huh? Line, they ain't pulling it. Huh? Better you said, now he just bragging. That ain't something to brag about. It's definitely not something to brag about, right? Yikes. But on that note, y'all, look, we've been streaming for entirely too long. We're about to hit 4 hours. I ain't gonna let y'all get the 4-hour mark. So on that note, oh, that's hysterical, Revlon. Revlon says, the sister is Carpet Muncher 5000. Hysterical. Right? Let me see. And Share the Light says, Mr. Z, let's not forget these women laugh and pick at their suffering and look down on disabled boys and men. Yeah. 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 True indeed. True. So on that note, y'all, we'll pause right there, truly. Send it to me. Send it to me, Leon. And Leon says, same, I have a good clip for you. A stud quit her job the same day she got the job. Oh, man. Oh, man. So, okay, y'all, let's pause right here. Love Piece of Chicken Grease. Y'all go check out other Black Manosphere content, other non-Manosphere content. Look, Els, I couldn't give you another 2 hours of stream. But yeah, we got things to do, places to go, and yeah, we ain't gonna incriminate ourselves. You already know, reckless, right? Shout out to Louis. This whole background is Louis. Shout out to Louis Conner, y'all. Louis be looking out. Shout out to Compassionate Callus. Compassionate be looking out. Shout out to all of you with the emails, especially Saint Cyr. Saint Cyr be looking out. All of y'all be looking out. I get the emails, like I said. If I don't play it, just because you don't see me play it today or tomorrow doesn't mean it's not in the archive to be used eventually, right? And thank y'all for that. Thank y'all for keeping me up to date, right? So yeah, Trell said almost done on the grill. Look, I had Trell right. Look, I got Trell through the grilling process, right? So yeah. So we'll pause right there. Um, yeah, we'll pause right there. Truly, y'all have a great. Only drumsticks and the potato left. Man, look, I would kill for some grilled, some seriously seasoned, sitting in the juices for like 2 days in the fridge ass, then grilled drumsticks right now. Oh, I would kill for that. I'm jealous, Trell. I'm jealous of your kids right now. I'm jealous of your kids right now. Uh, so we'll pause right here, truly. Y'all have a great rest of your day. All right, y'all. Mr. Z out.